I think we are live. I tried something a little bit new today with having an actual intro screen to try to get this to work like right when we start, and I think it might be a success. I'm kind of excited. If you've been watching many of the live streams lately, it's like the first 2 minutes is me going, is it working? I don't know if it's working. I think today we are good. I'm kind of excited about this. We can thank, actually, Edgar is the one who suggested for the ending because the video's been cutting off weird. So I think I've got a fix for that too. So we're almost acting like we're professionals. So today, working in colored pencil, we are going to finish this flamingo one way or another. This guy is getting done. I'm really excited about, oh good, audio, video, chat, everything's good, yay. I'm really excited about this guy because this is the stage for me with art that I have fun. Like those intro stages where you get to this and it's like, it looks terrible. I don't enjoy those myself. I mean, they're a necessary part of the process. You've got to get the ugly stages to get to the good stages. But I'm excited because today we get to make him look good. So yay, Nick says good on Facebook. Good. Okay, I think we are all set. So I actually do need to adjust this a little bit so we can really see this guy a bit better. Nope, that's not the right thing. Whatever I just clicked was not good. Nope, you, yes, you are the thing I am trying to adjust. I was almost professional. I almost had everything ready to go. There we go. Now we can see him all zoomed in. Looks like we're good. Sergey says, glad to see it work, Lisa. The mystery portrait is kind of showing, by the way. Yeah, I don't think the person will be able to tell who. I don't think he'd be watching anyway, but I don't think he'd notice, like, he'd know it was him. Right now it's at zombie stage. I'm pretty confident no one would know who that. So I thank you for warning me. So that is good. Hi, Joseph. Facebook user said, I can see everyone's name in the chat. I think you may need to change some settings on your end or maybe some of the group settings so you can see people's name in the Facebook chat. Sarah. Yeah, it's the app that I'm using has like a pop-up window for chat, and that's where, like, if I go over to Facebook, I can see the names no problem. But it's the app for some reason. It's not like translating it over. Thank you for signing your name, though. That helps. Paul said, I got selected for the 75th UN exhibition. Thank you, Lisa, from the bottom of my heart. I saw that post. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. That is so awesome. Huge congratulations. Sherry said, good morning. What a wonderful way to start my day. 6 a.m. here in Australia. Oh, it is early for you. So today, again, going to finish this guy up. And at this point, we are going to be just getting the details in. I'll be adding both lights and darks to get that texture that we want for the feathers. So this is weird. I'm kind of weirded out that we're like ready to go early. That setting that starting soon 2 minutes early. That was helpful. I'm really, the more I'm using the Restream thing, that's the app I'm using to go both to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. The more I use it, the more I am liking it. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Raiku said, I'm watching this and playing a game at the same time. That's what I do. I've been playing, have you been playing, anyone else playing World of Warcraft with the Shadowlands? I've been, weirdly enough, I haven't even played my Holy Priest, which has always been my main, my Blood Elf Holy Priest. I've been playing my Void Elf Warlock, which is Alliance. It's kind of weird for me. Yeah, I've been playing her. So I'm just going to start with some of the darks. This one is magenta. I also need a reddish tone, I think. This one will actually, maybe a brighter red. Hold on 1 second. See, I was almost ready. Let's grab a couple of, this one. When it comes to colors, a lot of people are always asking or trying to figure out how to know what color to choose. You guess, you pick one. You're like, I need a red. Let's try a red. Oh, that red isn't quite the right shade. Put it down, try another red. Don't overthink the color. Color is just not that big of a deal. It seems to be the thing that most people will get hung up on because they're so worried about choosing the right color and they think that that's the thing that's going to make their work look realistic or not. No, look, I've got the right color here and he does not look realistic yet. Adding the values, getting my darks dark and my lights lighted, that's what's going to make a difference as I move forward. Let's see. My eyes, I am not seeing well today, so everything's like blurry. I really need to go to the eye doctor. Plus, I've got a horrible headache. That's probably also not helping matters. Erica said, hello, Lisa. I can't afford the Looks Like Archival Series sanded paper. Which grade of UArt sanded paper is closest? 400, 600, or 800 grit? I think was it 500? Do I have it over here? Joseph, do you remember? Because he was using some of it, I think, or was he using you? I was using Fisher 400, and I want to say it was UART 5 or 600. If you go back to any of my previous, like there, I think if you do a search on YouTube for Lachri, powder blender, and cherries, use those terms. Whatever paper I used there is the one that I was using. I haven't used it in so long, I don't remember, and I don't think I have any in. I don't actually. Hold on, let's see if we've got any in here. I don't think I do. I don't want to go out to my art closet to find it, but if it's in here, oh wait, I do. Okay, I'm in line. This is the UART 500. Okay. But if you're going to go like if you can get Fisher 400 instead of UART 500, I definitely prefer the Fisher 400 better. And I get that, where was I getting that from? ProArtPanels.com. Let's see. Nadine said, I've been doing some projects on Frederick's canvas pad. I want to cut them to smaller sizes. Should I varnish before or after cutting? And how are the two baby frogs? I varnish when the painting is done. I would cut them first if it were me, and then do the painting and varnishing. That's just how I would work myself. I don't know that it's going to make that big of a difference, but that's how I would do it. For the baby frogs. So they're actually doing really good. Well, I'll chat about them as I'm working. So on Wednesday night, the one that we thought ate the cricket, she didn't, but she did end up eating it an hour later, and then I was able to put a bunch more crickets in there. That frog ate so many crickets that night. She must have had like 3 to 4, which is kind of a lot. So she was a little porker, ate tons. I was so excited, and did really well. She even, TMI here, had a good stool, like the healthiest she's had, like the first really healthy one any of the frogs have had since I got them. So that was really encouraging. And the little one had a tiny, tiny little one. So at least he's eaten something, but he's definitely not eating enough right now. So last night though, I think I got too much of the medication on the cricket's head. I think it kind of almost glued down his little antenna, and he wasn't really active. And she kept going to the bowl all night long and looking in there, and she's like, it's not moving. I'm not eating it if it's not moving. So she didn't eat her medicated cricket, so I had to medicate her, force it by hand today, which I don't like to do, but I mean, that's my only option. You can't, what else are you going to do? So they're both supposed to have one more dose tomorrow. I'm getting really good at hand medicating them. Getting a tiny, tiny frog's mouth open, not easy, but I'm getting better at it. So yeah, she looked at food so much yesterday. I know she was hungry. It just wasn't moving enough. So tonight she won't need medicated crickets because I medicated her this morning. So she'll get normal one. Both of them will get normal crickets. So I'm hoping both of them will eat, being that it's just like their normal feeding routine before all this started. So yeah, I have very high hopes for the bigger one. The little one, we'll see, because he's still not eating, but he's been medicated. So it's not, his medication it's definitely taking effect given the stool sample that I saw. So hopefully he'll start eating. Worst case, I can try force feeding, but it's stressful. The whole point is to try to not stress them as much as possible so that they do these things on their own. But I'm also, don't want them to starve. And I don't know if they're like cats. Like a dog will not starve itself unless it's really ill. But like a dog who's being like picky and just doesn't like the food that you're giving it, eventually it's going to eat it. It's not going to completely starve unless it's actually got an underlying health problem. Whereas a cat is like, once they stop eating, they can just keep not eating. Cats can be a little bit weird about that. And I don't know if the frogs are more like cats in that. So, well, I'm watching them, but this was the first time I had to hand medicate the larger of the two. She was like, when I put her back in her cage, she was like, I don't know what to do. She was half hanging off a leaf, like, I can't believe you just did that to me. So I had to help her, like, get on your leaf all the way and go to sleep. So they're both sleeping now. They're normal. They sleep in the day. So yeah, that is what's going on with them. I was really, really happy last night. No, the night before. But she was so active yesterday. Both of them were really active all day yesterday, or all night last night, I should say. So I am very, very encouraged by that. Get a little shadow on the eye here, so it's not just flat. In this red that I'm using, it is pink carmine. I'm just going to start getting these clumps in here. separating these feathers. Now you can do one of two ways here, whatever works best for you. You can do the lights and then the darks, or the darks and then the lights. It really doesn't matter for the stage for what we're doing here. Let's see. Paul said, I never expected to get selected. I saw a call for entries, tried squirting paints all over it. That's awesome. Thanks, Melissa. Let's see. Facebook user said, I'm doing a crossword on my phone while watching the live stream. I was never good at crossword puzzles. I don't think my vocabulary is large enough. Like, if it was a crossword puzzle for 4-letter words, I'd be set. Anything larger, and I'm not good. Let's see. Facebook user said, I have that exact same cart in the color you have in that background there. What's in the background? Oh, this one? Yes, I love these things. They're so, oh my gosh, I love them. They are so handy. Sarah said, this flamingo color is just too gorgeous. Blue, purple shadows are my weakness. I never use black now because Nightshade by Derwent is prettier. Oh, God, I love that pencil. That is set. It's one of my favorite pencils by far. Scrolling down. How do I find a tiny frog stool? It's actually not that tiny. So right now if they were in the big vivarium, I would never see it. Like, you really won't see it. There's so many plants, and it's a very natural, like, it's like you cut out a piece of the jungle and stuck it in like a large glass, very large. It's 24 by 36 tall by 18 deep. So it's big. I wouldn't see them, honestly. It's going to be hard because I plan to annually take fecal samples to the vet, just as, you know, I'm going to be as responsible as possible here, and being that this seems to be a problem with these guys, let's just annually check them up. So that's going to be harder to find in the big vivarium, but right now they're in a quarantine tank. So when you introduce a new animal like this, you wouldn't want to just release it. Same thing with fish. You don't want to just dump it in your fish tank, because if they have parasites, you can infect that environment. So they're in a semi-sterile with paper towels, like damp paper towels, their water, food, and food dish for you wouldn't have to do. You could just let the crickets run free, but they seem to be doing really well. I'm trying to get them trained to eat out of a bowl, which is going great. So when they go into the big vivarium, they can always find crickets. I do worry about the crickets getting under leaf litter and hiding, and them having a hard time finding them. So this way I can monitor and make sure they're eating. It's all the way easier if you can get them trained to eat out of a bowl, which mine are doing. But yeah, here, because it's on the white paper towel, it's really easy to find. In the big vivarium, it will not be so much. And in the big vivarium, it's not even something that I have to clean, because I have springtails and isopods in there that will do all of the cleaning for me. Let's see. Scrolling up. Sergi said, did your watercolors arrive? They have not yet. I'm so excited to see what you come up with mixed media-wise, given that I am only used to using Inktense as a base for colored pencil on top. I like watercolor pencils, or, well, watercolor in general, or watercolor pencils, either way. I like those better as a base for colored pencils than I do Inktense, because I like Inktense more as a standalone medium, because it's like, I don't know, I don't know how to describe it. The pencils just don't stick that well on top of it, where they do on colored pencil or on watercolor. So I think that's going to be a better fit for mixed media than with Inktense. I really prefer Inktense just by themselves. I mean, you can do a few little things with colored pencil on them, but for the most part, it just doesn't stick as well. Let's see, get his face in here so I can see what we're doing. There we go. You want to look at your reference photo and really just, I don't care if the feathers are exact, but I do want to make sure they're going in the general direction, about the right length. Those things we want to watch. Let's see. Hi, Andrew Lisa. Scrolling. See, I cheat by Googling clues or looking up words in my dictionary thesaurus app. Sarah said, yeah, that's the only way I could do them. I was never good at those. My grandpa used to do them. I tried. I didn't do well. Angel said, I tried color matching while mixing paint to a computer screen. Does it matter? Some say color on monitor isn't accurate. I try to get them as close as possible, but it's just not that big of a deal. Like when you're making prints, it's a little bit different. And you'll have to excuse the lighting. We were raining here this morning, and now the sun's kind of coming out, and the lighting is just going to keep changing. I'm going to probably be changing lots of colors as well. I'll look like a chameleon throughout this live stream. So sorry about that. I can't fix that. But anyway, I don't think that it needs to be exact. I mean, that's kind of one of the things that I talk about, not kind of, it is one of the things that I talk about all the time, is that the color's just not that big of a deal. I mean, if it's pink, I want to make it pink, but heck, even if I made it purple, it still would just look like I had a purple tint to it. It'll still look like realistic, or like whatever it is that I'm drawing. It'd just look like it has a purple light cast on it. So I think that artists have a tendency, and I almost kind of blame TV and like movies and stuff too, because I remember seeing, I think it was an old Law and Order, or I don't know, that type of show, like a murder mystery type thing. And I remember them coming in and going, we know it was this artist who committed such crime because they used this rare cadmium, whatever color of blah, 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 that's so expensive. And they're going on, and I'm like, I mean, it sounds fun, but I guess like everything in TV, they over-exaggerate certain things. But you see on TV where they make it sound like the artist, the color is the thing that everyone is focused on. And I suspect that has to do with the fact that like if you go to an art show, the average person who's not an artist who comes up and looks at your work, one of the most common things you're going to hear is, I love the colors. Yeah, that's what the average person notices. And so I think that's why the average person getting started in art thinks it's all about the colors. I think that that's just kind of a going from not knowing anything about art and only knowing what you see on TV or what you like and are drawn to trying to do the art yourself. You just assume that's like the thing. Cletus is starting to chirp. But yeah, no, the colors just, it's not that big of a deal. The color I'm using now is not what the color on my reference photo is. I'm just kind of blocking in here at the direction that the feathers need to go. You can see like here they get smaller, so don't want as big of chunks in there. And if you have a hard time with the details like this, I'm kind of jumping around I need to stop saying kind of. I said that too much today. Apparently that's like my little crutch word for the day. But I'm going through and blocking in about where all of the shapes and shadows are going to go. But if that gets to where you're like, I'm lost, I don't know what I'm doing, break it up into a smaller section, like just the forehead and then just this section, just little sections. That'll make it easier to tackle and get those fine details if that is something that you're struggling with. I am jumping around a little bit all over the place. Raku said, it's interesting learning about aquariums and stuff because I want fish and reptiles. They're a lot of fun. Luckily, one of the things that I'm loving right now is how much information there is online with a lot of stuff. Now, the tree frogs, less so. There are the red-eye tree frogs. They seem to be a less common critter for a lot of people to keep. They're trying to find information on some of that's a lot harder, but the aquariums, the cool thing is if you have something go wrong in like your reef tank or whatever, there are a million Facebook groups and forums and everything else where if you post that problem, somebody's going to have had it happen and they know the solution. And so, you know, if you do your research, you can set yourself up to not have as many problems as somebody who didn't do the research, and you can do that because of the internet. Like when I first set up my very first saltwater aquarium was set up in 1995. I think that was about the time I got my first tree frog too. Rib, my Australian white tree frog. But I'm using orange here, and the orange is going to make the pink almost glow. But I'm just coming through for some of these shadows here. But back then, we didn't have the information, so like you had to go by what the person at the fish store told you, and they weren't always well informed. So sometimes they were, sometimes they weren't, and so it was definitely a lot harder, I think, back then. Now, luckily, it seemed like parasites weren't as big of an issue back then as they are now, so that's give and take there on the positive and negative. But it's now there is so much information out there. Like I have researched so much before getting these frogs because I wanted to set them up for the best possible, life. So I researched so much because the internet, you've got so many things. And one of the things that I really like when I'm researching on the internet is reading where somebody had a problem and then how that problem was resolved. So that you hopefully don't make that same mistake, or you know what to do if it happens. So the internet definitely has some good things about it. There are some things we can all complain about, but there are some really, really good things that it can be so helpful. Let's see. How long are they going to continue in the quarantine? I'm going to keep them in there. So I will do I'll take a sample into the vet to be tested again in maybe a week or 2 weeks, and probably 2 weeks, to see, because if there were any eggs that needed to have, like just the life cycle of that type of the protozoa that they have. So I'm going to test again then, and then I'll probably give them another month. I want them to get a little larger anyway, so I'm sure they're eating. I'm sure everything's going well, because it's going to be so much harder to monitor their health once they go into that big vivarium. So I really want to make sure they're like I have no worries about their eating, about their everything. So I'm going to wait at least 2 months, I would say. Initially, I thought, oh, a month, whatever. And then when I saw how tiny they were, I'm like, okay, that's going to take a little longer. I want them to grow out a little bit more. I'm guessing at least 2 months before, if everything goes well, probably 2 months before I move them over. And then I'm going to a reptile expo this weekend. And if I'm comfortable with any of the breeders there, if they have them, I would like to get another one. So my initial goal was to have 3 in that tank. So I would like to get another one, and he would have to be quarantined separately, and I'll do the same thing. I'm just going to proactively, from here on out, anytime I get a new frog, take a sample to the vet and check, instead of waiting and assuming it would be okay, because that obviously didn't work out for me. Lesson learned. Yeah, and he'll do the same thing. That any new frog would be a couple of months before I'd put him in that vivarium, because you don't want to infect the new vivarium or that vivarium, because all the plants and stuff, you can't just bleach it. So, you can't clean it the same way you can a quarantine tank. Let's see. Alana said, yay, the lady frog ate. 2, weird question for you and others. Do you think that offering prints would reduce commissions as they are so much cheaper? No, not at all. Because the value of a print versus the value of an original is completely different. And oftentimes, the person who wants to invest the money into an original is not the same person who wants prints in their home. It's almost like 2 different clientele, I find. So, I mean, sometimes people want both, but I don't find that it lessens or makes any difference whatsoever. And with the commissions, you've got to keep in mind too, those are custom. That's what someone specifically wanted, whether it be a design, color, subject. So a lot of people enjoy that process that they're not going to get with buying a print from you. So no, I don't find that it lessens that like how many commissions we get at all. And it's certainly, because that's one of the things I've been asked a lot too, is does it lower the value of the original? Absolutely not. So I have like my lion that's in my living room with the coral mane and the fish swimming around him, where I've combined the 2 scenes. That one, I sell the prints. I have the G-clays for shows, and I sell the Stacy, I'm live streaming, stop texting me. I have those. That does not, it's not the same. It's not the equal of the original painting, and knowing you have the original, the one of a kind original, is not the same as like prints. It's completely different. So no, I don't find that it lowers it. If anything, I would say it raises it, because you have so many people that have the prints and they admire the prints, and only one person gets the original. It is a polychromos pencil, Joanna. Princess Peach said, once again, I love your nails, Lisa. Thank you. I have black. My husband thought I was weird. I have black snowflakes today. Let's see. Scrolling down. Marika said, what do you think about gouache and colored pencil mixed media? Does that work as well as watercolors and colored pencil? I don't think I've done a gouache and colored pencil. It should. I mean, gouache is just opaque watercolor, so it should be the same, but I'm not sure if there's any difference in how the pencil sticks to it, honestly. It's not something I've done. I mean, in theory, as far as being archival, you would be fine, as long as the gouache goes first and then the colored pencil on top. But I don't know if it sticks exactly the same as the regular watercolor. I would assume so. Let's see. Starving Artist Collective said, I am sure no one would suspect you of crimes, being that you use Liquitex Basics. No rare exotic ingredients there. Isn't that right? And yes, I always forget to mention this. So anyone who is watching or is not used to my live streams, these live streams are very, very informal. These are just, we chat, we hang out while we draw. It's not an actual like step-by-step lesson the same way as my normal Patreon videos are. If you're looking for just lessons, not me rambling about my frogs and everything else, then patreon.com/Lachri or subscribestar.com. I think it's subscribestar.com, Lachri. Nick, you will know. Yeah. Oh, you've got it written there. Yeah. Subscribestar.com is your other option. That is where my full lessons are. And those lessons are generally either real time or really, really, really slowed down. 1 to 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours long. There's a new one every single week. I've got over 200 available for you to watch right now. If you go to Lachri.com, Nick, can you pull that? It's Lachri.com/ Patreon-videos, I think. I don't know, something like that. Or if you just go to lachri.com and click on video library, you can see everything that's available. And again, those are just straight, not me rambling. It is nothing. It is just the art lesson. So that and art tips is we're going on that lesson. So that would, if that's what you're looking for, would probably be a better fit. These, again, just chatting. It's a time I get to hang out with you guys and actually, well, talk, because I don't get a chance to respond to emails. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just using white. This is the Derwent Drawing Chinese white. It's going to be my most opaque white, and it shows up really well. Cletus is singing today. Kimberly said, what do we expect from Lachri Finer in the year 2021 in general? I'm hoping to keep, kind of kick my own butt and get myself back to regular edited videos in addition to the live streams. I am enjoying doing the extra live streams, but it does make it hard to do the edited content. I'm going to try to do both because apparently I don't like time off. Like yesterday, I took most of the day off to read, which was super unusual for me. So yeah, I'm hoping to get more edited stuff, more vlogs, share more with the animals and the processes, you know, the care and everything for them there. Hold on, is this? Okay. But I don't have like any crazy plans. My biggest plan is that I'm hoping my parents are able to come visit from California this year. They were supposed to, or next year, they were supposed to this year, but with the whole COVID thing, that didn't work out. So hopefully this year they will be able to. I probably should set some goals, huh? How big will the frogs get? Joanna asked. They will get, the males will be about 2 inches, right around 2 inches long, where the females can get up to about 3. The females are quite a bit larger, 2.5 to 3. The males are like 1.5 to 2 inches. So the males stay a lot smaller than the females. I'm really hoping that I have females or males though, or at least one male, because I want them to bark. It's kind of annoying. Some people don't like it because they bark at night, but I think it's adorable. And I love, like, I get so excited every time. Well, Cletus is almost like a canary. He sings, but I love the sound of frogs. So there may be something wrong with me, but, so I'm hoping for boys, and I don't know for certain. The big one that I keep calling the female, I'm just calling that the female because it's bigger, but it might just be bigger because it eats well. They're all young. So they're too young to really tell. So I don't know. Thanks, Maya. Sarah said, you're so responsible and caring with him that it's heartwarming. Oh, thank you. I'm like so emotionally invested in these frogs. Like, I just want them to be healthy and happy and have a nice home. And I'm like, I didn't think, I don't remember if I was that I worried this much when I had my whites tree frog, but those guys are really hardy. And I didn't even know there was a difference at the time. I think I was just lucky in the one that I chose, that I went with the whites tree frog. But he lived 12 years. And even looking back now, they technically, I've since found out, can live even longer than that. And I'm like, he probably got parasites too. And yes, I'm going to be doing a lot of, I'll be playing with a lot of frog poop, but I'm definitely going to be keeping up on annual checking of that. I really want to try. I want to see if that is the thing that makes the difference. Like, why is it that most people with red-eyed tree frogs are saying the life expectancy is like between 4 and 6 years, whereas the one guy who's breeding, that's like an expert, his is 16 currently and still going, still breeding. And it's like, so I really want to be that guy. Melody said, hi, it has been a long time since I have caught a stream. I've been wanting to try out the colored pencils to use with my watercolors. What pencils do you recommend? God, so many. Polychromos. I love Faber-Castell Polychromos. Those have this sharp, sharp point. That's what I've done for most of this to get little teeny detail. I love the Derwent Drawing. The Derwent Drawing, though, has a very limited color. At least get yourself a Derwent Drawing Chinese white. That's what I'm using now. It's the most opaque white, but it's also, as you can see, let me hold this up. Actually, let me sharpen this one so you can really see. It's a much thicker lead than like the Polychromos, so it's not going to be as good for fine detail, but man, is it opaque. So you can see the difference there of the core size. This is the Derwent Drawing Chinese white. This is the Polychromos. So I'm going to get a finer point there. But the Polychromos is not as opaque as the Derwent Drawing. So, you've got that balance there. I also really like Caran-d'Ache Luminance. Those are a wax base. They are more opaque than the Polychromos. They're a softer lead, so they blend a bit smoother, I think. And then the the Derwent Light Fast are another of my favorites. Oh my gosh, I love those pencils so much. They blend so well. They're listed as being an oil base, but to me, they feel like a nice mixture somewhere in the middle of oil and wax base. They're just wonderful to work with. So that's my other, any of those you can't go wrong with. I will say though, the Derwent Drawing, they're a limited color, so you're not going to have that as your only colored pencil set. That's like an add-on to whatever set you like. But you're not going to be unhappy with any of the ones I just mentioned. Let's see. Jason said, are you going to take pictures of the subject matter at the expo you were going to? Probably not. I don't know how they would feel about me being there, like really filming. I didn't clear, like I probably in the future could talk to them and say, I'm a YouTuber, can I film this? And they'd probably be cool with it, but I don't know that I'm going to try to do that this weekend. Plus this weekend's going to be super cold and I'm actually shopping for stuff I need for my Dart Frog vivarium that I'm building. So I think I'm going to be lazy and just be focusing on the stuff for that build. I will film the build of that vivarium, but like the shopping and looking at the expo, I don't know if I will. To be honest, the expo, I've only been to one other reptile expo. It wasn't impressive like to look at. They had a lot of good stuff there, but like just looking at it, it wasn't as cool looking. Like Aquashella is set up in a way that it is, you walk in and it's like, oh my God, this is Disneyland for fish keepers. Whereas the reptile expos, the lights are all on. It's not as visually impressive, I guess I should say. I'm kind of excited too. The breeder that we got my husband's hognose snake from, he'll be there. So it'll be nice to say hi to him. And he's the one who helped us find somebody to get my husband's Indian ringneck parakeet too. My husband and I are both obsessed with animals, if you can't tell. Sergi said, based on what is currently going on that piece of paper, how would you title that artwork? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. I'll have to work on that. Joanna said, we like the frog talk. Yay, because I like talking about them. I've always liked frogs. My neighbor came over, and when I first met them, we just had the dogs and the bird, two of the birds. She didn't even know we had the birds because they're in another room that she had been in. And so when she was here the other day, she had to drop some stuff off, and I was showing her the frogs, and she's like, what made you get into frogs? I'm like, oh, no, I've always been into frogs. I just didn't have, I've had a period where it wasn't convenient to own them. In the apartment, and then before that, we lived with my in-laws when we first moved to Texas. So, and I'm like, what made me do it? That's been like a lifelong love of mine. Let's see. Do you add a reducer or water to your airbrush paint? Just got a new airbrush. If I used Createx, I did. And I don't use Createx paints anymore really with my airbrush. I avoid those. They're too thick. They really need a 0.5 or larger needle. I'm usually using a 0.3 or 0.2. I rarely use my 0.5. So they're going to be more likely to clog. Now that's not to say Createx paints aren't amazing. It's just not for the way that I paint. They're not the best fit. But with those, yes, I do have to thin those down. Or they clog, and they're going to clog in my case anyway. So what I prefer myself now, I use Goldens or Holbeins, and those do not have to be thinned at all. I do put, do I have it over here? Crap, what is it called? Flow Improve. Is it a Flow Improve? Crap, hold on. It's behind me. I'm going to sit here forever trying to think of what it's called when I can just get off my butt and go look at it. It is, yes, Airbrush Flow Improver. That was right. So I put a couple of drops of Airbrush Flow Improver in before I put the paint into the airbrush, and that will also help keep it from clogging. But I don't actually thin the paint otherwise now that I've switched over to Goldens and Holbein airbrush paints. Facebook user says, this is going to be a beautiful piece and love hearing about the frogs. Yay! Oh, I got my Restream notification. Congratulations, you've received 100 messages today with Restream chat. And then it wants me to tweet. I don't use Twitter. Twitter's crap. I'm not tweeting. Let's see. Joanna said, these little froggies are so loud. Shine on, Frog Whisperer. Oh my gosh, that's funny. I'm just scrolling. Yeah, if you're having a hard time, if this is coming out really blurry, it could be your settings. If you go through and change it to HD or at least 720 HP, like that, or 720 should work. The higher you can set that, the more in focus it should be for you. Scroll in. Sarah Makes Sarah said, a lot of times I'm almost finished with a piece before I've decided what to call it. Anything that I post on social media up to that point is just a working title. Yeah, I think, yeah, I normally don't even think of a title in most cases until months after it's been done, and I'm like uploading it for prints. I'm like, oh, I have to name this something. Like, it's not even, I don't normally put a lot of thought into it myself. So right now, these white bits are a bit too bright, but we'll come back through with some darker areas in between them. I'm finding this to be a little bit easier than the dark first. But you can work back and forth. Either way, it will work. Just make sure you're watch how these clump and cluster together and that you're changing direction. If you make a couple of pencil strokes and you're like, wow, that looks amazing, it looks like a feather, that doesn't mean to repeat that same thing again and again, because then it starts looking unnatural. You want to have a lot of variation. When you're doing anything in nature, you're going to have a lot of variation. Leaves in trees, grass, anything, fur, feathers, there's going to be variation. You don't want to just repeat the same thing again and again and again. It will not look very good. You will suddenly go from like that one pencil stroke that looked amazing to having something that looks like not amazing. Thanks, Letty. Let's see. Heather said, I'm here with you in the background finishing my first eagle painting. Nice. Sergio said, how are the cute cow and the big pansy doing? They are good. The pansy is not happy because it's been raining today. He's been pouting. The cow is, I don't know, yeah, you can't see him. He's hanging out of his bed, my bad cow, who's actually not a bad cow. That's just what we call him. Cletus is chirping. Nadine said, a few weeks ago, someone recommended you watch the Vincent van Gogh Doctor Who episode. I think you should try it, or at least the last couple of minutes. It's a beautiful tribute. Yeah, I need to. I never do, but I'm going to say that I need to, and I'm probably never going to get to it. I never really got into Doctor Who. My husband did. Sarah Makes Art said, I've heard that a lot of titles of the famous paintings were not given by the artists themselves, but were decided by historians years after the artist died. Oh, that's interesting. Hi, Ted. I have not talked to you forever. Ted's one of my friends from California. Wow, it's been like years since I talked to you. Sarah said, are you planning on doing a video about the papers you like? I really enjoy your recommendations. That would be a good one. I don't think I have. I mean, I've done like individual paper reviews, but I don't think I've done like a complete, these are the ones I use in white. That's a good idea. Hold on, I'm writing that down. I really like that idea. I mean, it may not be a full review, but I could at least go over, these are the papers I like and that I use and why I use them, and a couple that I don't like. I like that idea. Yeah, Ted, my friend from California, one of the things that has like random weird things that I always remember, and every time I'm cleaning my bathroom, every single week, I remember this. Him and his wife had come over they were hanging out, like we used to have hangouts on Monday nights, a bunch of us would hang out at my house, and I remember Ted coming out of my bathroom and going, wow, your toilet's really clean. And his wife getting mad at him for it. And I don't know why, like the most random things that stick in my head, like Becca was like, Ted! It is always like, that is the weirdest compliment I think I've ever gotten. But Ted thought my toilet was clean. So, that was bonus there. Kimberly said, some say this quarantining would extend till half of next year. Yeah, we'll see. Let's see. Joanna said, my hubby lives for Doctor Who. We even have a little tree with a scary angel. My husband really liked it too. Ted said, I totally remember that. It's such a random thing, but I swear to you, every week that I clean my bathroom, I always remember and laugh about you coming out and like proclaiming my toilet was clean. So random. Let's see. Ted said, one toilet cleaner to another. Let's see. Oh, nope, got that. Okay, we're kind of. That's so funny. It's so random. Like, and I know if I asked Matt, he'd be like, what are you talking about? I don't remember that. I don't know. It just always stood out to me. I got a compliment on my toilet. Not everyone gets those. Kimberly said, I thought the ex-boyfriend you cleaned, it's the ex-boyfriend that you cleaned for. That's funny. No, it's not. Actually, he knows that ex-boyfriend, Ted, he's talking about Paul Leon. I used to be their housekeeper for a while. So I've talked about cleaning people. Like, that was one of the things I did building up my art career. I cleaned people's houses. But no, Ted was not that person. Ted said, we're here in Texas for a hot minute over Thanksgiving break, and I wished we could see people we knew out there. Oh, what area of Texas were you in? I like it here. I'm still trying to talk my parents into moving out here. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I really, really like Texas. Okay, I need to get a highlight coming through here. And part of this too, I'll use blue. I'll come back through. So the same blues I used on everything else, we'll use that for some of our highlighting too. Yeah, it's funny, Johnny, you're talking about that episode of Doctor Who with the angels. Those are the ones that kept like moving every time you look away. I swear my frogs do that. The tree frogs, I will watch them on the camera and I look down and I look up and they're like halfway across the tank, but it doesn't look like they move. They're just sitting still. And I'll look away and I'll look back and they're over here. Just like, I didn't see them move at all. It's just that like how quick they, yes, it kind of reminds me of that because I've seen parts of that episode. Jason said, is that the Chinese white that you're using? It is. Oh, Ted was in Dallas through San Antonio, so you were real close to us. Mostly in Waco because, you know, Chip and Joanna. Erica said, I second that paper review video of all the papers you like or dislike and why. That sounds like an awesome idea. Yeah, and I think I tend to overthink things. So one of the reasons that I haven't done it is I'm like, I haven't tested all the papers, but that doesn't mean I couldn't share the ones I do use and that I do like. So I think I need to sometimes, maybe this is one of the things I can add to things I need to do in 2021. I need to simplify things. There's a lot of projects I want to do and I don't get to them because I try to turn it into a huge project. Just minimize it. It doesn't need to be that big. I think that'll work. Kimberly said, why does I often experience ringing or tingling? Is this a health-related issue? I don't have any idea. I would talk to your doctor on that one. I have no advice for you there. I'm sorry. That is definitely something I would talk to your doctor about. Let's see. Do you think, Lindy said, do you think it's a bad idea to use only pan pastels as a base, even if you're a beginner at colored pencils? No, pan pastels are an amazing, like they make it go so much faster. And I think that pan pastels could be the thing. A lot of people don't like colored pencils because they're very slow. And I think pan pastels may be the thing that gets people like going towards that because it speeds the process up so much. So if that means you always use pan pastels as your base. There's nothing, I don't care what medium someone works in. Like I know some people they want to be known as an acrylic artist or an oil painter. I don't care what you're known for. I don't think it matters. I care what you produce. And if that means you produce awesome work with pan pastels and colored pencil, awesome work is awesome work. It doesn't matter to me what medium someone creates that awesome work in. So no, I think it'd be awesome. Scrolling up. Tasha said, I like the paper comparisons where people try the same project on different substrates to show the difference in the outcome. Yeah, and see, I've done that before. I don't know if I'm going to go that far. Maybe a small sample. It's hard to really show unless you do a full project. The full project is where we get into that is such a big project that I'm probably just not going to do it. So I think I'm going to simplify it and just kind of talk like more of a vlog type thing and show samples I've done on each thing, but I don't know if I'm going to do a side by side. I don't think I have time to do that and keep doing the live streams and keep up with my normal Patreon lessons. Like you can only get so much done. So I probably wouldn't get that. I think I need to keep it a little bit more simple in order for me to actually get it done. Let's see. The Tesla owner just moved to Texas. Lots of Californians moving to Texas wonder why. Because Texas is, a lot of it comes down to like the way the laws are set up for businesses, and the way the laws are set up for businesses in California is not ideal for, and plus a lot of other things. I mean, it does get into a political thing in which I don't want to go into, but the way the laws and the way the businesses are run here are more friendly towards those businesses. And it's really good for the employees as well, because the businesses do well, then the employees are paid well, and that everyone does well. So that's why you have a lot coming here. The problem is if everyone who liked the way that the business regulations were set up in California, come here and then try like change our regulations in Texas to match that of California, which is what ruined California and why people left California. Texas, to me, Texas feels like California in the 80s. So I don't know if I will stay here permanently, because if it goes the way that California did, it got too expensive to live. It got like just, it was very hard to run a business, the way all of the laws are set up, and like it wasn't the best. There's a reason that the Californians are coming here. My concern, and the concern of everyone else, is don't come here though and then change our regulations so that they match what made you leave everyone leave the other state, if that makes sense. That's my concern there. But yeah, it's because largely the way that things are set up here is more friendly towards running businesses. And if businesses move here, then of course the employees want to come as well. And California or Texas is a lot cheaper. I mean, but my house, I could not afford in California. Nowhere in California could I afford this house. It's a lot, like it's crazy the difference. Like my parents' house is old, a lot older, and it's worth more than double, a little bit more than double what mine is. And I think mine is, maybe theirs is bigger. They're very close. And mine's brand new. So it's like that, it was not something, and that was a big reason we left California. We couldn't afford it. So there's a lot of good reasons that a lot of people are coming here, like for financial reasons, really. So I just hope it doesn't, and I think it inevitably will end up being what California is, but then I'll find somewhere new to live. Let's see. Sarah Makes Art said, I'm not sure if it's what people are talking about, but Smart Art's YouTube channel has a video on Van Gogh that includes a clip from Doctor Who episode. It's less than 6 minutes. Huh. Kimberly said, it's the random ringing on my left ear. It's not bothering me, but it just creeps me out. So I would definitely have a doctor check that out. I mean, if it's not normal, I would want a doctor to check it. It may be fine. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I would definitely, though, have a doctor look at that. Let's see. Joseph says, I'm keeping my Doctor Who comments to myself. You don't have to. I don't keep my Baby Yoda comments to myself when I'm poking you with my Baby Yoda comments. Let's see. Thanks, Raikou. Just scrolling. Color. Joanna's in Grapevine. That's where we lived before we moved here. Our apartment was in Grapevine. We were right up against the Denton Creek. Like our apartment overlooked the creek. It was beautiful. I really, really like Grapevine. We moved up north because, like, again, the houses up here it's a newer, or not a newer city. It's more, we're out in the middle of nowhere. It takes a long time to get anywhere, but it's, yeah, we had to move further out to get the house the size that I needed for my business, because I had a lot of my house is dedicated to the business, so I needed more room than the average homeowner. So Grapevine, I could not afford. And I wanted a bigger yard, and most of those out there were not, that would be in my budget, were definitely not. Sarah Makes Art said, if you do the same design in different medium styles, can both pieces be considered unique originals and be valued as such? Yes, because there's still an original that I hand drew. But to what extent? I mean, doing it twice, like here's one in polychromos, here's one in luminance pencils. To me, I'm selling them both the same. I'm not changing the price on those. But if you get to where, I do think that you can cross a line where people start mass reproducing the same concept. And so in that case, it's almost special, because it's like, oh, I got the polychromos one, and this person over here has the luminance one. But when you do get to a point where people, and you see this with the like crap art, and it can be pretty, I say crap art, but this stuff, it's just mass produced in China, where it may be hand painted, but they're just doing the same painting again and again and again. That holds no value at all. So there is a line you can cross in that. You do something a couple of times, but it's like, this one is done in this medium, this one is done in this medium. Those two, I think, both hold value. But when you get to where you're just over and over, I've got 50 of the same one or 10 of the same one even, I think that starts to definitely devalue. Scrolling. Fiddle Jewel said, a friend of mine told me a few days ago that Tennessee has seen an influx from California as well. I think everywhere has seen an influx of California. We were also considering, was it Idaho? I think we were looking at one point, and they're also getting a lot of Californians. Do I love Jim Morrison? No, I'm not a real fan of that. Like, I respect his skill, but it's not something I personally listen to. I just don't. That style of music reminds me of when I was a teenager and hanging out with druggies. I was not one of them. I never did drugs, but I hung out with druggies. I don't know why. I don't know why. You know why? Because my boyfriend at the time was very pretty. He just also happened to be a druggie. Teenage girls make stupid life choices. Anyway, that reminds me of that time, and I don't like being around drugs now. So it's like, I think it's an association thing for me. But I do recognize how skilled he is. Like, he was an amazing, amazing musician, just not my preference. Yeah, Tasha said working from home is going to change big cities forever. Me and my husband were talking about that because he's one working from home now too. I really like it. I mean, I'd imagine that that's going to make a big difference when it comes to like just pollution and stuff, like less people on the road. Although here in Texas, we didn't see, at least in my area, I never saw a big drop because we didn't close down to the extent that a lot of areas did. So our businesses, a lot of them stayed open. So we didn't see the huge, like what my mom told me about California freeways where like everything just, no one was on them. That's crazy to me to think that that would ever happen in California. But we didn't see that here to that extent. My husband said it was a little bit less, but not much. But it's interesting to see what will happen, and which I think is better. I mean, less people on the roads having to travel. If the business can run with the people working from home, that's awesome. But the problem, I think, does come into, like my husband has to deal with this. The other employees where he works are oftentimes they need someone standing over them telling them, get back to work. Like, put the phone down, put your phone down, get back to work. Now that they're working from home, they're, screwing off and not doing their job all the time as well as they could. So that's the downside. I don't know what the answer is there. Jason said, I've been seeing that businesses are moving to Texas and the rent in the Bay Area is tanking because of the mass migration to other states. Oh, wow. Brenda says his name is Grogu now. I've heard. He will always be Baby Yoda when I'm talking to Joseph, though, because it bugs him. Let's see. Yeah, my Flamingo looks 2D because I'm not done. Like, he's got a lot of work to go. I'm just scrolling. Hi, Barney. Let's see. I live in the eastern part of Texas, Tyler, Longview, the Piney Woods. Not sure if you have been here, but it's beautiful. I've only drove through, I think we drove kind of through that area when we went up to, my band years ago had gone up to Tennessee for a show. And we drove through, I remember parts, I don't know if we went through that area, but like going towards the east, it was really pretty. That I did like. Where I'm at, we definitely don't have the trees. Like, this was all farmland previously, so it's all flat. But we don't have the trees that you guys have. I wish we did. I mean, eventually these areas will get filled in as these houses mature, but I don't know if I'll stay here in this location long enough for that. We'll see. We will see how things go. As of right now, I love where I live, but you never really know how, like, one neighborhood might progress in time. It might end up not being so nice. We'll see. Let's see. Sorry, I missed the start of the Flamingo. Did you use OMS to get the smooth base pink color? It looks so nice. Yes, I did. And thank you. Sarah G said, speaking of papers, one of my absolute favorite ones right now is Canson Edition 250. Arches is 300, 100% cotton, and sheep, 330 a sheet. Very smooth, luxurious paper. Interesting. I've not tried that. I haven't even heard of that. Idaho is definitely getting Californians that live in Idaho, so I would know. Sarah said, I've done some paintings where I'm doing the same design in watercolor and acrylic to compare the two mediums. Yeah, it's fun to do, but it gets to a point where you do the same painting over and over and again, and it's like, I don't really ever want to do this. Like, no more of this, please. We did this actually in my old church. They had done a thing, which was really cool. They had us all do paintings, and then they ended up auctioning off those paintings, but they wanted to let the artists make money too. So if somebody else wanted to buy a version of that, we could sell another copy of that. So a lot of those paintings, I had done like 9 or I don't know, I did a lot of those paintings. And of all of those, almost all of them I had to do 2 or 3 times, and they were big. They were 36 by, they were an odd size. They were 36 inches wide, I believe, and I forget how, like maybe 18, 24, I think 24 by 36 maybe a little bit longer, something like that though. Oh my God, I got so burnt out. I do not enjoy painting the same thing over and over again. Angel said, I see why memes, and I see why many like him because he's undeniably attractive, but why do girls sometimes love the bad boys? Is it wired in our DNA? What are you talking about? Oh, just guys in general. That boyfriend, I will say, the pretty druggie, he was a nice guy. He had a rough, like a really rough start to life, and he was just a genuinely nice guy, like very, very nice. So I will, like, I can't actually say anything bad other than the drug use wasn't the future I wanted, but he was definitely, he was a good guy. So he didn't have the bad boy anything other than he was generally high all the time. So I'll say that. I can't say anything really bad about that. It just wasn't the future I wanted. I finally grew up. Let's see. Joseph said, Cali single vehicle accidents went up over 200% because no one knew how to drive faster than 20 miles per hour. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious and true. Why, I said hello from Holland. Hello. That it's so funny though. That is definitely like California. The traffic is horrible. Although it's getting like that out here in Texas now. The area I'm in is getting really fairly bad. Okay, what was I? Oh, hold on. These spam texts are driving me. Let me just clear this out really quick because I'm neurotic and I can't let it go. Of people calling and asking to see, this one doesn't even make sense. They're trying to, I've got an offer for you on Hollowell Street. I don't live on Hollowell Street. Block, delete conversation and block. Go away. The spam texts have gotten so bad lately. Sarah said, I'm not going to name names, but I've heard some famous people that had a nice guy reputation, but also their vices. Yeah, very nice. That specific guy, he was pretty much raised by, I don't want to go into a bunch of personal information, but he had a rough life, and I understand how he got to where he was and why he was involved in what he was, and that is that. Which part of Texas are you from? I am currently in the North Texas area. I'm originally from Southern California, but we live in North Texas, like north of Dallas. So right now, see how he's very wiry? Where I want to start making this look softer, lightly start going over the areas that need to be soft and not as much like little detail, because you do get to a point where if you have too much detail, you completely change the look of those feathers and you look scruffy. We do want scruffy in some of this, but not everywhere. So I need to come through and start softening that out. Actually, let me see if I've got a light pink. That might. What do I have here? No, those are not going to give me quite the right tone. Do I have Heather out? Heather should, oh, wait, actually, you'll probably work fine. This one is a Caran d'Ache pencil. Let's see, that one is, I can't ever read the writing on these ones. Burnt Sienna, 10%. Angel said, yeah, the same thing with Jean Grey. Jean Grey told Logan she'd date him short term, but she would live with someone like Scott long term. Do you hear Cletus? He is like a talker today. So I'm lightly going over this. And I don't even need to blend everything out. Normally I use OMS to blend stuff out. Really at this stage, I'm just burnishing, like working the pencil over the same area again and again. I don't think it needs to be blended with OMS really, probably anything today. I'll be surprised if I use it. Terry said, my nephew moved to Prosper, Texas, and we are contemplating College Station. I don't know College Station. Prosper, I'm really close to Prosper. I love this area. I am a huge fan. I mean, I was a little bit hesitant to move away from the Grapevine area because you had more trees and it was a little bit, more established. It was kind of really pretty that way. This is going to take a few years to get there. Where I'm at, everything is just, they took all the flat farmland and put a bunch of houses on them, and now we're all trying to grow trees to make it nice, but it's, yeah. Sergi said, speaking of long-term relationships, how is the happily married couple under your own roof doing Matt and his PS5? Yes, Matt and his new wife, his PS5, are well. He has been playing Dark Souls nonstop. Like any chance he gets, like he gets a break at work, he's over there playing Dark Souls. So he's already beat it on the one character. Now he's doing, I don't know what he's doing, achievements or I don't know. He's obsessed. Him and his new wife are doing quite well. Let's see. Angel said, so California teens in the 80s were high, or was that just a teenage spirit? I was not a teen in the 80s. I don't know. I was a teen in the 90s. So, and I think that, I don't know if that was based on year. People just do that. Like they always have, they always will type thing. But I can't say as far as like what teenage years were like in the 80s. I was a kid, so I don't know. Jason said, the editor said, white and Anglo-Saxon Protestant. What does that have to do with anything? What? Oh, you're not tagging me. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm like, what? What was that a part of our conversation? Let's see. I was so confused. So that's the one thing with this chat that is a little bit harder for me. It's harder for me to distinguish when someone's talking to me versus somebody else, and I'm not paying attention. So let's see. You should do a watercolor practice stream where we can watch you learn the medium. I think that would be fun. Yeah, I might do that. I can see doing that. Angel said, so you grew up with Spice Girls and AC/DC. I didn't like either. My sister liked Spice Girls. AC/DC I was never a fan of. I was more of a... the Bangles were one of my favorite, like my first bands I remember like really loving as a kid, going into like my preteen years. Bangles. My best friend was obsessed with Debbie Gibson. I liked the Bangles. After that was like Pearl Jam. I'm trying to think of the bands I really liked. Pearl Jam was a huge favorite. What was the one? EMF. I loved them. Jesus Jones. That's kind of like, those were the first bands that I was really, some of Guns N' Roses, not all of it. Those are, I guess, yeah, those were probably my like kid years, like the first where I was really just starting to get into music. Even now, like I listen to Counting Crows, like half of Counting Crows I absolutely love. So that they would be one that that I was more into. But Spice Girls, I never really got into the real poppy type music. Like if it was pop, like wasn't mine. My sister did. Like my sister, she was 4 years younger than me, so it may have been an age difference, but she liked Spice Girls. She liked whatever the boy bands were. She was all into those, where I never was. Let's see. Joanna says, I truly hope the developers don't invade your area. Yeah, that's a bit of a, well, we were concerned because there's a corner that I can see the corner from my backyard, and they were planning, and it shouldn't have been. We're out in the middle of nowhere. You don't put apartments in the middle of nowhere. That makes no sense. And the city tried wanted a 4-story. It would have been the biggest eyesore, and it would have definitely dropped the property values, and that would have been a huge issue. And because of the way traffic is up here, because we've only got one road in and out, it makes no sense. Like traffic is a problem. They need to, and they've got 5 years before they're talking about fixing that road, or widening it. So I'm just gonna focus a bit more on values right now than details. So yeah, they had talked about that, and the residents in the city, or some of the good city council members fought that. So they're not going to, but that was a concern. I'm not sure what's going to go on that corner. The opposite corner, which I can also see from my backyard, that's going to be storage units. The amount of storage units in Texas weirds me out. I don't understand why there's such a demand for storage units. Like, if you have too much crap to fit in your own house, do you really need that crap? Like, I get it when people are moving. Like, you have to live in an apartment for a while while your house is being built. That I totally understand. But the amount of people who have just storage units, like, that's just their thing, I don't understand. But yeah, that's going up there. Not pretty, but better than apartments, that's for sure. But like the houses behind me, I'm surrounded by houses, but very close, they'll start building stuff. So we don't know what it'll be. Who sung Mbop? I don't know. That's, like I said, I wasn't into poppy stuff. I think I know what song you're talking about, but I don't know. Let's see. Jason said it was referring to okay, yeah, you guys were talking about something else. Nirvana, yeah, Nirvana was something I grew up with. Let's see. Sergio said, will you give watercolor a go on cold press paper? I will, and I have some, so I absolutely will. Since that's the most standard surface for that medium, yes, absolutely, and I have some waiting. I have the paper waiting for me. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah, my sister loved Red Hot Chili Peppers. I've always been kind of neutral. Like, I don't love, I don't hate it. Like, I'm fairly neutral when it comes to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. My sister was obsessed with them. much, much more so than I was. We listened to, like in California, like I grew up listening to K-Rock, whereas my sister would listen to Kiss FM, if that made a difference on like the style of music that we listened to. Jason said, I love Debbie Gibson songs. They're great. I also love some of the other bands. Electric Light Orchestra. I remember my mom really loving them. Let's see. Michelle said, love that advice from old boyfriends to frogs to art tips to music choices, making me laugh while having to do bookwork for my husband's business. It's awesome. Well, I'm glad I can entertain you with my randomness. Angel said, oh, and you must have watched the Titanic in the theaters, right? I hope I was a teen in the 80s. Yeah, I think I saw that in the theater. Did I? I think so. It was so long ago. I have no memory. You'd think I was the one doing drugs, and I wasn't. No memory. It's bad. Let's see. Angel, oh, you okay? Got that one. Joseph said, if there's baby Yoda, that does not mean there is posh Yoda, ginger Yoda, scary Yoda, and sporty Yoda. Okay, I'll see myself out. Oh my gosh. Scrolling. TK said, what do you use for aquarelle, pencils, or something else? Huh? Like the graphite aquarelle, they are pencils. I don't know if I'm understanding that question correctly. There may be a difference in translation. I'm not sure. Let's see. Can said, if it gets too expensive there, you can move east to East Texas. It's a lot cheaper here than Dallas area. Just stores are further. Yeah, where I'm at now. Oh, I should put food out on the bird feeder. They're out there. They're waiting for me to feed them. But outdoor sky chickens, not my personal chickens. But anyway, right now we're good. And it's not like it would get too expensive. I mean, we should be set here. It's more if we decided to move that it would just make more financial sense to sell a house if this one keeps going up in value the way. I mean, it already, since we bought it, I think the base price for my model of house has gone up. It's almost $20,000, and we just bought it. We just moved in a year ago. So if that keeps going the way it's going, and this area is really, I guess, a hot area. Everyone's wanting to move in around here from what we've been told. It may just make financial sense to sell it and then move somewhere else cheaper. Like, we'll see. What do you use for aqua? I'm not sure what you're asking, TK. I mean, the only aquarelle I know are pencils. I have no idea what you're asking. I'm sorry. Like I said, maybe a difference in if in locale, like they may be called something else where you're at than what they're called here. So I'm not sure. I mean like Albrecht Dürer from Faber-Castell. Those are pencils. See, I'm so confused. I'm like, but they are pencils. So I still don't know. I'm sorry. Sarah said, you've mentioned something about World of Warcraft self-portrait. Is it a 21 plan? Oh, not a World of Warcraft self-portrait. I played World of Warcraft. Like I don't think I ever had an idea to combine those two. No, a self-portrait. Maybe that would be something for this year. I do want to do a self-portrait, like something surreal, not World of Warcraft based, but like actual surreal. So I don't know. We will have to see. I don't make plans that like. I'm not that good at making long-term plans. The extent of my plans are, am I taking a nap today? Probably. That's how I plan. Oh, and I'm going to a reptile expo on Sunday. Really excited about that. Julie said, I had 15 minutes meeting, turn back here, and this exploded in details. Oh, I like this color. What is this one? This one is light red violet. This looks like it'll work pretty good for some of these areas in the shadows. I'm surprised I got Wade. So I mentioned on Wednesday, I think I ordered him something beets for his food that's supposed to help with allergies. He had one scoop yesterday, and I don't think it could make that big of a difference that fast. He has not been itching today. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe because it rained, the grass is what's making him itch, and that I don't know, but it's weird how little. I just noticed. I'm like, yeah, I had to tell him to stop scratching this whole stream. It's kind of weird. Oh, this is nice because this is the same color I used in this flower over here. So this is pulling everything together really well. And I'm kind of scribbling this back and forth, just the direction that those feathers would go. So if I have lines that still show through, they're going the right direction. Curves back down. Arm. Have you done plein air painting? I have. I don't like it that much. I don't like working outside because I can't control the bugs flying into my work. I can't control that it's hot and I start to sweat, and I don't like to sweat because I'm all prissy. I can't, like, the wind knocks things over. I used to go down to the beach when I lived in Southern California, like to Venice, and set up and paint down there. I've done it, and I think I did it in Newport at one point, went and painted on the pier. The wind, and of course on the beach it's going to be windier, but it was just like, I'm so much more comfortable just painting in my studio where I have everything. I didn't leave something at home. Although I did that video with my Inktense. They have a travel set. I went and sat out when I lived in Grapevine. I was on the Denton Creek. I went and sat out there and painted there. It was the most fun I'd had, like, ever. So maybe I should do it more often because that was really enjoyable. And that maybe because I wasn't trying to do something elaborate. When I went to the beach, I was trying to do the same quality of work I do in the studio, which I think I need to shift my thinking on that. And maybe just what I did when I did the Inktense one is just, let's do a sketch of a landscape. It was so, like, calming, and, like, I just left feeling refreshed and like super, super happy. So maybe it is something that I should do more of. We have a lake kind of near us that I could go to and sit out there on a bench and like just sketch and paint. And so maybe I will do that because that was fun. I as much as I'm like, I don't like it. And then I remembered, wait, the last time I did it, I actually had a blast. But I think it was because I didn't have the same level of pressure. All I brought was a pad of paper, one water brush, my paint, and then the cameras. I had more camera equipment than I did with the art supplies. But the great thing with that was I wasn't like, there was just not the pressure to try to make everything perfect like what I would do in the studio. So that I did really like. Scrolling up. Joanna said, we plan naps around walking dogs. That is our plan. Yep. I'm hoping it'll be warm enough. We'll see. I might be able to sneak a walk in later with Gibson. It's been rainy, so right now is not the time. Angel said, so why do paintings' eyes follow us in any direction? I think because you paint them to where they're just looking at the viewer. So wherever you're looking, it would look like that. It's just the way, if they're aimed at, like, looking forward, it's just from any angle, it would look like that. Terry said, it's scary about all the storage units. Maybe Texas has a lot of hoarders. I think so. I'm an ex-SoCal girl and listen to Kevin and Bean on K-Rock all the time. Yep, I remember them. What was it? Dr. Drew and who was the other guy? I really liked them too. They'd have their talk show stuff. That was cool. Like almost like pre-podcast type thing. So yeah, that's what I listened to. My sister definitely preferred Kiss FM. It's funny talking about this because so much of this is stuff I just don't think about or haven't thought about in forever. So I'm like, oh, nostalgia. Okay, TK said it's German. Yes, I meant that. Yeah, it's the aquarelle. I have both the watercolor pencils and water-soluble pencils. I like both. They're both really, I love both mediums. Philip said, hello, I've drawn flamingos. Do you like flamingos? I love flamingos. They're one of my favorites. Thanks, Joanna. She says, look at that flamingo. Wow, what a beauty. Thank you. Angel said, by the way, I'm near Venice now. We moved already. Yay. How do you like it? It's weird because I imagine right now with all of the lockdowns and stuff, it's not even the same as what I experienced when I was there. Because I was there, God, we moved here in 2008, I think. I think it was 2008, like April of 2008. So I've been here for a while now. So I imagine it's quite different. Gypsy Heart said, how would you make two objects in a painting that are similar values to each other set apart? One is in front of the other, but no shadow there. Would you add a slight shadow? You can separate things by several ways. One would be by adding shadows, adding contrast where it might not be. The other thing would be slightly blurring out one and having, like, depending on if you're trying to set one back further, you can slightly blur out the one that's back further and have the one in front a little bit more detail or more textured. So the texture, it depends on what the objects are. But the texture difference, I mean, like right here, very similar color. I've got lines going in different directions and I've got different texture where he's got a ton of detail here where this part is more smooth. Same thing with, you know, the fish and all of those. I'm mostly going with pretty much the same color on these, same sets of pencils. So I've got to adjust that based on value. So like here, this beak is a lot darker than that, and that's going to set it apart. The head here, this is blending in too much. I've got to find a way to set this area apart. Now we'll probably do it with white highlights. Let's see. So even though my reference photo doesn't really have this, I need to make sure that that is completely set apart. So, you know, you've got to, and that still needs to be blended out or pulled out. But yeah, color, certainly. Values, certainly. And in this case, because we're removing color as the thing that we're separating it from, then we've got to go to values. So like here, I'm going to make his head a little bit lighter, and I'll probably come back through and make this a little bit darker. So I can do both. Let's push this back by making it darker and let the head then come forward because I've got the highlight there. Jason left California in 2007, so right before me. Angel said, yeah, we went through tests and papers, signed all that jazz, but it's still locked down here and theaters are not open, so I couldn't go watch Wonder Woman on Christmas. Sergio said, over the past 20 minutes, the flamingo got so dramatic, I envisioned asking to be or not to be holding that flower. Gypsy Heart said, thank you, pretty much have a similar problem that you fixed with the head and flower. Yeah, you're going to darken and lighten things, let it balance out. You've got to remember too, and I used to have this problem. I want it to be just like the photo, except I'm combining multiple photos. I've now got to bring your art side, like you're an artist, this is where you make the adjustments to make yours better than the photo. And in that case, setting those two things apart. So one, maybe let's pull a little bit more orange on this guy's head. So I will adjust the color just a bit by throwing, I mean, I'm using orange in parts of him anyway. Why not add some right there that's going to help separate that area too? Again, just really watching the direction of these feathers more than anything else. Like I'm not making it the exact same number, and nothing that is exactly the same. Gail said you should check out James Gurney's YouTube channel. I have his books. He's amazing. Fee said, I'm so glad these are on Facebook too. Wouldn't have known this was live. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Angel said, I love it here. How long will this last though? Tips? I don't know. I mean, I left, so I don't have any tips for you. But the nice thing, like as much as I complain about California, those beaches are beautiful. Well, you know, stepping over the needles and such, but you're the right beaches. They're beautiful. There are some freaking absolutely beautiful areas of California. And I hate that it's kind of been, some of those have been ruined, but, enjoy what is beautiful there. I don't really have tips for you. One of the things that I liked with California, or that I would still say I somewhat miss, is like your grass stays green all year. Like there are things in Southern California that, like here right now, my grass is brown and it is very ugly. Like looking out my window, I'm like, can it be spring now? My trees are all bald. I mean, that's normal for crepe myrtles even in California, but I hate winters here where California stays pretty green. Your palm trees, everything's still pretty. Here we definitely get ugly in the winter, so I'll give California points there. I really need to lighten this whole section pretty much here on his head. So I'm just kind of scribbling, but I'm following, again, the direction that those feathers go. And if I go too bright or too light, it's not a big deal. I'll just come back through with the darks. Jason said, I'm near Vancouver and I had the same problem. Wanted to see, oh, you're not talking to me. I don't have to read that then. Only been to San Diego for Comic-Con and it was fantastic. Would love to visit again someday. There are areas like on the way to from where I live to San Diego, something Falls. Oh, my brain it just died on me. I had family that lived up there. Crap, what is it? Oh, that's going to drive me crazy. Something Falls. I don't know. They were up in the mountains. They built this house up at the top, like the highest mountain up there, and it overlooked this valley. It was amazing. It used to terrify me going up the hill. Their driveway was like, it was so steep. That was always super scary for me. But my gosh, that house was amazing. There's definitely some really, really gorgeous things in California that you can see that you really just don't have much of in other places. So I guess it's not all bad. But then again, the areas that I liked so much, I was not going to be able to afford to live in. So there was that. Julie Stone said, speaking of grays, I finally got my second gray. He has the same sire as the other and is brindle and white. The sister I wanted especially failed her cat test. Oh no. Mine would not have passed the cat test. I was hoping for that because so many people need, like, the ones that don't pass the cat test are harder to place because most people have cats, or a lot of people do. So I'm like, I'm a good home for a dog who does not pass that test. That's cool. Congratulations on the new family member though. That's so awesome. Jason said, my niece got to put up her first real Christmas tree, and she had so much fun with my mom. Nice. Angel said, yeah, I pretty much love it here. I'm going to live here forever. Hope it stays that way for you. Joanna says, I'm one lottery ticket from living in Northern California, big fat trees. I think, see, so beautiful. Those redwoods and such, like, I've only seen photos. I've never been up there, but like that area up through Seattle, I love, but they've got so much drama up there, like so much drama in a lot of those areas that I'm like, I don't think I want that level of drama in my life. And then the way that the laws are set up for owning businesses and running businesses, not super ideal. So probably never, unfortunately, going to be a fit for me, which sucks because I think, like, if you were to pick like things in life or places in the world that are the most beautiful to you, one of mine, at least from photos I've seen, those big redwoods, I think are one of the most beautiful things I have in photo ever seen. I would love to live somewhere like that, but owning a business might not be the best move for me. And it's crazy expensive. But my gosh, like, oh, so pretty. We definitely do not we have lakes. Our lakes are actually pretty, but we don't have, there are areas in California that I do think are way prettier than any, like if you took the prettiest areas of Texas, the prettiest areas of California, I do think California probably wins out. But there's so many people. Melissa said, I'm originally from New Jersey, so when people told me it was over 2 hours just between LA and San Diego, I was like, that's my whole state. Yeah, Texas is like that. You've got a 4-hour drive from Dallas, like the middle of Dallas to Houston or San Antonio. Like, it is a long 4.5, 5-hour drive. Just, yeah. It's so, some of these states, it is so long to drive from one end to another. And then with California, from San Diego to LA, it's not even like it's that far. It's the traffic. My gosh, I have made that drive a couple of times. I did that once on accident. So when I was a kid, I was like, I don't know, 19. I was dating a guy who I lived in Rancho Cucamonga. I was dating a guy who lived down towards Huntington Beach or Newport, like that, somewhere down in there. And we decided I would go pick him up. So I had to drive from Rancho to the beach, which was in traffic like 2 hours, drive him all the way back back out towards Rancho and going down to Lake Elsinore to visit a friend or meet a friend. And we hung out there for a while. And then he thought, while I was listening to the guy who wasn't driving, I don't know, and this is before Google Maps. It's hard to believe there was a time before Google Maps. But he thought that we should go south and save time versus going north and around. That didn't work out. That cost me, I mean, I don't think I got home till 3, 4 in the morning. And back then I was not nocturnal. That was like crazy. My car was overheating by the time we ended up in San Diego first and said we went the wrong direction. We should have from Lake Elsinore gone up and around. Oh no, he was certain it was going to save time to go through San Diego and around this way. They didn't connect the way he thought they did. So that relationship did not last long. I was not amused, not just because of that, but oh my gosh, that was so not a fun drive. I do not miss the days before Google Maps. Let's see. Gypsy Heart said, I miss Texas. I want to move back so bad. We moved to Atlanta 4 years ago to be closer to my side of the family, and I regret it. My family is nuts. I want back to nobody beating up our butts. That's so funny. Yeah, I like it here. I definitely, like, I don't have that much family anyway, so it's not. I talk to my mom on the phone at least once a day, every day. So I talk to her more now than I think when I lived in the same city as her. So, which is kind of awesome. So, Fredericksburg, Texas is stunning. I've never been there. Jason said, I love Eureka, California and Redding, but it's harder to go south into LA area. Yeah, see, I lived in Southern California, so my opinion's probably a bit skewed. People think Australia is small. Who thinks Australia is small? I don't know anyone who thinks, like, in my head, that is the biggest. It's huge. It is huge. Let's see. Joanna says, haha, men in directions. Yeah, that was, oh my gosh, that night. And you didn't even have cell phones back then. So like you couldn't even call somebody for help. Like it was a very stressful drive. And then once I dropped him off, I had to drive back. Luckily by that point there wasn't a bunch of traffic, but drive back from like Newport or Huntington or wherever he lived all the way back to Rancho. I think I broke my pencil. I think I only saw him like one other time after that. I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this drive anymore. Let's see. Clarence said, can vouch for the 4-hour drive from Dallas to San Antonio. Help my friend move from St. Louis to San Antonio. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Texas is not, and it's not, actually that's not true. I was going to say that it's not a pretty drive, but that's actually not true because when you get into those back, like the farm country, it was beautiful. So there were areas. When I drove from, El Paso, when we moved here, we took the 10 and came from El Paso up to Dallas. That drive was not on those freeways. I was like, oh my gosh, where have I moved? This is really ugly. But we went the opposite, like we kind of took these back roads when we went down to visit friends to Houston and San Antonio, and there were some beautiful areas we got to drive through. So that was actually pretty cool. So there are really pretty areas for sure. I'm going to layer this orange in with some of these guys. Okay, I'm trying to fuss over this, but I've got to hurry up because we've also got these feathers. I don't know. Part of me is like, we should just drag this out another day because I really planned on finishing this guy today, but I'm like, this is taking a bit longer to get what I want, where I want it to be. So I might have to drag this last section out one more week, which again, don't want to do, but I also don't want to leave this like this because that is kind of scary. This is not where we want this to end. So I might have to just eat my words and drag it out one more day. I need some more pinks in here. Let's see. Angel said, maybe it's good to live here after your teenage life. Well, I moved in my 30s, so I was definitely still there after my teenage life. What is the difference between Derwent pencil blender and the Derwent pencil burnisher? I don't know, honestly. I didn't like either of them. Neither did anything for me that I liked. I used them with Color Soft. I tried them with a couple of other pencils. I was never a fan of. They were both too waxy. I think one of them is harder. It's just for burnishing. It doesn't leave that waxy area. It's just like this really hard very odd. The other one was more of a waxy, like it blended instead of burnished. It left the wax on the paper, but I didn't use either of them that much that I could give that much any more opinion than that. Melissa said, yes, please, to taking this one more week. I'll always take more Flamingo. Let's see, it looks glistening swan glass. Looks like a glistening swan glass. Gypsy Heart said, ooh, I guess what finally showed up? My June Patreon postcard. Oh my gosh. And actually still looks decent. Wow. The April one never showed up, but all the others through August are here safe and sound. Okay, message me again. I definitely need to get you the April one then. Message me that. I've got to work. I'll probably be working on that what is tonight? Tomorrow night. I've got to do, I sent out August, so I need to do September and October. I have waiting for me to work on. I have everything. I have everything I need to do these. I finally got them all in, and I need to actually sit down and do that tomorrow night. So probably I'll be working on that. Send me a message with your address and everything again, because I'm going to say I'd probably forget. 100%. The second I stop talking about this, it's out of my head. So I need to get the April one to you then. Oh, I like this pink. What is this one? Rose Carmine. Perfect. Oh, you're a nice, like, kind of a warmish looking, not too purple, which is perfect for what I'm doing here. So what I'm doing is burnishing at this point. I have so many layers underneath that have been blended out with OMS. I just don't really need it at this point. But we're going to start separating and defining these feathers. So you can see my pencil is very, very sharp at this stage for all of these little details. See, this I could have had done in a day, like no problem, or in one lesson. But the second I decided this was something I was doing to keep for myself, then I started, I'm like, no, I need to do it good. I need to put more time into it. Let's see. Marika said, what's that beet powder you gave your dogs? One of my chihuahuas is quite itchy too. It's called, hold on, I have it on here. I got it on Amazon. Chewy has it as well. Some of the people in the Greyhound groups had recommended it. So let's see your orders. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. There we go. Olewo, O-L-E-W. Oh, good, you can see it. Olewo red beets, dehydrated. But that's what we're trying so far. I can't say for certain, like, yes, this is 100% what's making a difference for him. It would be weird that anything with allergies would make a difference this soon. So it may have nothing to do with that. It could just be coincidence, like it rained and the grass is not, for some reason, irritating him as much. I don't know. But we'll give it a try. Remind me in future live streams. I'll let you know how it's working for him. I mean, it's a natural thing, so it's not going to hurt him. But yeah, fingers crossed that helps relieve some of his allergies. I suspect he's allergic to a few things. Definitely peanut butter, and like his cookies and treats that had peanut butter in it, that seemed to make things worse. Stopping with that didn't 100% make it go away, but it definitely, we've noticed, we kind of played around with, okay, give him a couple cookies with it and see if it makes a difference, and he seemed to get itchier. So I do think that contributes. So we're trying to still narrow down like things that we can eliminate from his diet, but I can't eliminate the grass. Like there's nothing I can do there. So we'll see how this works. Fingers crossed. He's not as itchy as he was before we started like doing the elimination diet type thing, like figuring out exactly what it was. We thought it might be chicken at one point. I don't think that is it. So he hasn't had chicken all month, but I think we can go ahead and add that back in. Let's darken some of this. And if I lose some of the detail, it's no big deal. I can come right back in through it. This is all a layering process. I've definitely got to get highlights back in. And I'll do some of the highlights too with the touch-up texture titanium white later. By later, I mean next week. Now, all of these little details, it's tedious, but it's worth it in the end. Don't rush through it. He's actually kind of a hot mess up here. This is weirdly overblown. Let's use, oh, there we go. We'll use the polychromos to soften this. And I'll use a softer pencil too. We don't want his head that floofy. We want contrast, but sometimes not that much contrast. So with this white polychromos, I'm burnishing. You can still see some of what I've done underneath, but it softens out a lot. It's actually going to look really good when we do the touch-up texture titanium white mixture over some of this. And what I'll do that at the end of next week. I'll pull out just a few highlights with that and then go back over it with a pink pencil to like tone it down so it stands out. It doesn't stand out too much. Angel said, how about Balboa? I love Balboa. That is one of my, Balboa and Laguna are my two like favorite beaches in Southern California. Now, I haven't been in years, so I'm assuming it's still amazing, but those were always my favorites. Sherry said, I worked in the scuba industry and would often get travelers tell us that they think they're going to tour all around Australia by car in a week. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's funny. It's usually people from like Europe that, because a lot of those countries are very, very small. They don't understand how big like areas in like Texas or Australia or that like it doesn't compute because you can drive from one area to another. Like no problem in a day, you can go through several countries. But yeah, not so much here or there. Patty Picasso said, I missed the live stream. Was all evening untangling the darn tootin' Christmas lights. Oh my gosh. Gypsy Heart said, yes, the mall has been crazy, so I figured those two were lost. Then the June got here yesterday, and I was shocked. Only one scratch on it. No idea where it got lost, but happy it's here. So weird. Hi, City. Am I saying that right? Hello. Shelly said, I received my Derwent Lightfast pencils yesterday. Excited to try them out. Ordered the 28 pencil completer set directly from Derwent. Any idea what's up with the 100 set being unavailable? I have no idea. Actually, I haven't talked to Derwent much lately. The last I heard from them was them just getting permission to use my artwork on their calendar. And I love them. I love that they ask permission, but the funny thing is they're asking for permission, except the work that they're using, they own the rights to. They paid for the rights to it, but they're so considerate. Like, I freaking love that company. I love their business model. I love how they treat artists. I love that they pay artists. Like, they are big on paying artists to use our work. Like, they're such all around a good company. And everyone I've talked to there, I love. Like, I love them. Let's see. Julie said, you could get rid of all the grass and go for a dirt yard. Yeah, it's definitely not happening. I do like green. Green is necessary. Plus, actually, in my case, because I live in an HOA, I have, like, that wouldn't even be an option. Jason said, Laguna, who goes there? The rich people go there. I mean, I wasn't rich. I visited. But Laguna is nice. Like, going and looking at the art galleries there, oh, I loved that so much. The restaurants, I just loved that area. Hey, Garthik. Just scrolling. Can I show the reference I am making? It is over, you'd have to scroll a bit, but it is over on Patreon. And you don't have to be a member to get that. It's facing the opposite direction, but the photo of this guy is over there. Angel said, so Warner Media is putting together their movies on HBO Max. It upsets the film producers because it cheapens it. Like fine art. I mean, what are you going to do at this point? If you want to produce content and you want to get it out, like you're limited. I mean, if they want people to see the movies, that's what they're going to have to do. Natalie said, just a suggestion, but you should draw an opossum. They're so cute. I should look for reference photos of those guys, especially the babies. Oh my God, they're so cute. They're so beneficial too. Like, I absolutely love those guys. They are so good for your environment, for eating the bad stuff, for they're amazing animals. Dee said, I recently had an item from Derwent bought via third party that was faulty. The seller contacted Derwent, who responded with a replacement in a day, no question asked. Yeah, they take their quality control serious. Like, I've told this story before. I was doing a demo for Derwent. They flew me out to Salt Lake City to demo for a big art convention thing. Or like a manufacturer's convention, whatever. And so I was doing a demo and I showed them they had a set of the Derwent, the Inktense is what I was demonstrating. So they had both the blocks and the pencils. One of the pencils was like split, like on the word casing down the side. And I showed it to them like, hey, just so you know, there's a bad one. They grabbed that pencil like they don't want anyone to say like, no, oh my gosh, grabbed it and replaced it for me so freaking quickly. They were just, and they're looking at it like, which one did this come from? And like, they took that crap serious. I was so impressed with like, wow, they really care. That's pretty not Prismacolor. The color that I'm using right now, this one is pink carmine. I'm using a bunch of pencils. I've got like 50 in front of me. Angel said, so do you think theaters will not be relevant since the future is streaming like galleries and fine art? I don't know. I think that a lot of people like I think my husband enjoys going to the theater. I think he likes that atmosphere. I don't like going places. I'm very boring. But I think but I'm not sure if he could watch it at home if he would rather do that. I honestly don't know. I should ask him. But I think that there is that experience of going to the theater that a lot of people like, that you can't completely replace at home. I would rather watch things at home. I would much rather watch till stuff comes out and is available to watch. Like, that's just my personal preference. But I think that a lot of people like to go somewhere, to get out of the house and go and not have interruptions, like just watch the movie without the family members coming and bugging them and talking over the movie and all of that sort of thing. So I don't think that it's out. I think, unfortunately, a lot of the places are going to go out of business. But I think eventually you'll start seeing them reopen again, like new companies buying them out, starting them up, because it's the social experience almost as much as watching the movie for some people. I'm not one of those people. Jason said, is purchasing products through Amazon a bad bet? It depends on what the products are. I've been very lucky as far as art supplies. I have gotten art supplies and had no problems. Mine have all been fine. But I wouldn't buy electronics unless it's like a cheapy electronic, like the webcam or the cameras I use for the frog tanks so I can watch them. Yes, that is a thing I do. That's okay. But like they're like higher end electronics, I wouldn't. There's certain products that are just known, like the Mia 2, this face scrubby brush thing I have for cleaning your face. Those are known on Amazon to sell full price, so you're not even getting a discount, fakes or counterfeit ones. And I don't even know how you fix that. So it depends on what the product is. I've not had any problems with art supplies myself. Let's see, any suggestions for drawing short fur with water-soluble graphite? Just pay attention. Don't look at it. I think if you look at it as I'm drawing fur, we have a tendency for our brain to go, I know what fur looks like. And then when you start working on it, it doesn't really look like fur. Get a good reference photo and copy the shapes and shadows. Look at it as abstract shapes and shadows of what your reference photo of that short fur looks like and try to copy that. Pay attention to those values. Light's light enough, dark's dark enough, and shapes and shadows. Not, I'm making fur. Because when you make fur, people have a tendency like just to make a bunch of random lines. And it doesn't look like fur in the end. So if you can kind of get that out of your head, I'm not drawing fur, I'm drawing what I see in this reference photo. I think that would be a big tip for you. Fiddle Jewel, you know what's funny with your name? I was talking to my mom and I was telling her how well my Fiddle Leaf Fig is doing, but I'm so used to saying your name in live streams, I told her my Fiddle Jewel was doing well. So apparently you're doing well to my mom. Horsewoman said they are pushing those vaccines and I think I'm not even going to get into that drama. That is drama. It's drama. So I don't know. Yeah, I hear you over there, Cletus. Oh, he's actually out. He's sitting out on a leaf. He's getting bold. He wants to see his new girlfriends. Like he comes out and he tries to see in the tank where the new ones, the little babies are. It's really cute. I hope they all get along when I finally introduce them to each other. He is very interested in them. Hopefully he's not too interested in them. Whoops, pushed too hard on that point. You know I was pushing hard if I broke the tip off of polychromos. So I need a darker kind of coming through here. And then I've got to get the lighter areas too. Marcy said, about 7 years ago, I visited California. My cousin took me to Elephant Seal Beach and then for a tour of Hearst Castle. You know, I've never been to either one. Those were not things I got to experience. How did you like it? can we get your shirts in larger sizes? I want one, but I am size challenged. Whatever is available. So I always choose every size they have available. It's just what Teespring has to offer. And while a certain size may not be available in one type of shirt, check some of the other types because they may be available in a different style. So I make it everything they have available. So, you know, as many as possible, but can fit as many people as possible. But some, like one type of tank top only went up to like a large, but then another one had like 3X large. So it depends. I just try to make as many available, and then we have to go by whatever Teesprings has. Scrolling down. Possums may be cute, but can lead to EPM in horses. Keep them far from me. What is EPM? I'm not sure what that is. I know they eat like ticks. They eat like a lot of stuff that we don't want in our gardens. But I don't know with horses. I don't have a lot of experience there. So see how we can come through and just keep redefining, keep fussing, keep layering until it looks how you want. He's so cute. Can you guys hear him chirping still? Gypsy Heart said, I know you don't watch a lot of movies and stuff, but when you do, there are artists creating work. Do you ever analyze how accurate and inaccurate they are doing it? Some are crazy wrong. That and violinists, when people are fake playing violin, and I'm like, that isn't even how you hold that bow. Like, if you hold a bow like this, no, it's like, I'll show you. Can you see here? Nope, that's too small. You hold a bow more like your hand is like set a certain way. So when I see people holding the bow like this, or just, you know, like that's not how there's a very specific way to have the control in holding, there we go, holding a violin bow or whatever stringed instrument, and then how they hold their wrist. So you have a lot of people when they're faking, like if this is the thing, you'll see them holding it like this and just kind of, wait, there's the camera, and kind of wiggling their fingers. And I'm like, no, there's like, your hand is trying to get on camera. Like I can't set this to where, there you go. Wait, nope. There's a very specific way that you hold anyway. And that the violin one drives me insane. Like, just don't show them where their hands are touching, because it's too obvious they don't know. Or it'll be playing like a super high pitch, like it should be on the E string up in fifth, sixth position. And it shows them playing down on the G string, which is not, like, that's a D%. Those drive me insane more than art. But no, art does too. Or books where they talk about the artist. Like, there's one book, and it's one of my favorite books, The Relentless series by Karen Lynch. I love that story. But the girl, she's an artist, and at one point she talks about, and I looked down and suddenly I realized I had drawn like this realistic photo of, or drawing of this person, and she didn't even realize she was doing it. She was just absentmindedly drawing, and it happened to be this super realistic. Like, that's not how art works. Like, that doesn't happen. So some of that stuff, that does drive me crazy. Let's see. Angel said, yeah, because filmmaking is a form of art, but anyways, heading towards streaming, really, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it is for now, but I do think it will come back. I think normal movie theaters will come back. Oh, it can lead to neurological damage. That sucks. I don't even know what that is. I mean, I know what neurological damage is, but like the actual disease I had not ever heard of. Angel said, and they don't praise someone if they could read music notes in movies. Like, duh, that's so basic. And they do, and they'd praise someone if they could read music notes in movies. Yeah, people act all, well, no, I get that in person though. When people are like, you can read music. I play violin, of course I can read music. That's kind of a funny thing. Jason said, no, don't talk about how to hold the bow and holding your wrist. That way brings back some hard memories. Going down. Gypsy Heart said, I know what you mean. I play the violin and that drives me nuts. Or the piano. I was watching some the other day and they were painting an acrylic and oil at the same time. I thought, oh my gosh. Yeah, it gets kind of crazy. Marcy said, Hearst Castle blew my mind and I got some great photos of the elephant seals. Best part of the trip was driving up the 101 to Oregon to surprise my daughter. Ave of Giants, Avenue of Giants, redwoods amaze me. I want to see them in person. I really want to see them in person. Someday I'll make it up there. Like I just, at least like if I went through a book of beautiful places in the world, those redwoods I think are just, there's something about them. They're like, I don't know, magical feeling. It just makes me feel happy. Like those of you who play World of Warcraft, Grizzly Hills, hands down my favorite area. Let's see. Angel said, how about piano, Lisa? What grade have you reached? I don't play piano. I've never played piano. I only play the violin. And that I haven't even been practicing. I need to. I keep saying I'm going to, and I just never get to it. I have too many hobbies and too many things that I want to do. It's hard to like settle for me on like one thing. So see, I'm starting to break up into smaller sections. Some of these feathers. They were just a bit too long looking. I really need the touch-up texture titanium white, but I kind of don't want to start that part today. But that's going to define a lot of these more. You know what? We're going to do it. We've got time. Let's do touch-up a little bit on that. It's going to look a little bit rough and it's going to look a bit weird because I need it to dry completely, which we won't have time for today, but it'll be dry by next week and then I can put a bit of color over it, but it will better shape some of these feathers. Let's see. Oh, neat. Angel says Angel plays cello, violin, piano, and saxophone. Wow, that is a lot. You are awesome. See, my problem with reading music, I can only read the treble clef. Like when you get into the bass clef, which cello, and my brain's like, we don't do that. So that is impressive. I've never been able to go back and forth on different clefs. Where is my, not powder blender? Oh, here it is, titanium white. Do I have the lid for this? It's clean. Oh, wait, this is actually, we'll just wipe that out. For mixing the touch-up texture titanium white, I have these condiment cup lids. I've been using these forever. You just, in this case, it had dried on it, so I just chipped right out, but things are amazing. So I need that. I need a little liner brush, and I need, here we go, my colored pencil touch-up texture. And so I need to shake this like crazy. I don't know if it shows. You see the white residue down here? I need to make sure that that is completely like mixed in. And this is why if you use the brush and pencil products, the touch-up texture, the spray that you use, same thing. You need to mix it. It will settle just like this. It's kind of the same thing. One's just different form. So you need to make sure you mix those in the can, or in this case, really, really well. And you can tell with this how long it takes to really get that completely mixed. But when the can says to mix for like 3 minutes straight, it means 3 minutes straight. Like don't do less thinking, oh, okay, it's good enough. I mean, yeah, it'll spray, but you're not going to get the right, it's not going to be right. So I know a lot of people will complain that they have problems with that spray, but I guarantee you most of them are not shaking the can quite as well as what they're supposed to. So that's, you know, one element that could cause a problem for you with that product. Where are we? Melissa said, I played violin for 13 years, took up percussion in college, and could not read the bass clef on my timpani and marimba, am I saying that right? Parts. I had to write in the note names over the top. So I was really bad. Like my eyes, I read very, it was weird. I read fast, but when I transposing the music, it's weird, it's slow. So, I think I was told by a music teacher that my eyes were slow. I don't know, music teacher, and no, the eye doctor told me that when the music teacher was like, you're not picking up on this quick enough. So I would, and it was a bad habit to get into, I would actually write like a 1, 2, 3, or 4 over the number. I did this for years where like, this is the finger. And now I'll do it on a couple, like if I shift, so I remember where I wanted to shift and which position, all that. But I used to write like all the way through the music notes would be like 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2. And I would translate that to the finger because it was like kind of it was a cheating way to do it. But I did that for so long, for like longer than I should have. But part of it was because I didn't practice. Angel said, yeah, thanks to my mom, it was kind of like a New York thing to enroll kids in art schools or music schools. Yeah, I wish we did that more. I don't think enough kids are learning to play instruments or learning to be good at anything. I think it's you know, going into some of the cultural issues we have, where we have a generation of people who don't want to take care of themselves. They want everyone else to do everything for them. They can't handle not being praised. Like, they get a job and they don't understand why the boss won't continuously tell them what a good job they're doing, because they were raised in this world of, you are of value even if you're not producing anything of value. Everything you do and think, your mere existence makes you so important and everyone's going to care about you. And when they get into the real world, that's not how it is. And they don't know how to function. And it's like, and then they have self-esteem problems and all of these. And it's like, why are we not going back and teaching kids how to be good at something? Pick something. It can be art, it can be music, it can be sports. Pick something and be good at it. And what a difference that makes for their self-confidence and just functioning in the world. I think we've gotten to a point where we aren't doing that, and it's really not good for the kids. You know, as they get into adulthood, they can't function because they're, you know, self-esteem issues. They didn't get good at anything, but they expected to be treated like they're great at everything without putting in the effort, if that makes sense. I really think kids should go back to learning to be good at anything, like learning artistic type skills. So I'm mixing my touch-up texture, I don't know if you can see that, and titanium white together, making a paste essentially, or like it, I want it to be about the consistency of what I would do with like white acrylic paint. So stirring that together. And you will have chunks that don't blend out. That's normal. And when they dry on the piece, I just pick them out. Dee said, I play a lot of things badly. It's fun. I play Baroque versions of all the modern woodwinds, which really confuses people. I'm supposed to be practicing now. Lisa comes first. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Angel said, and weirdly, I love math too. I'm not really bragging here, but I'd rather math than literature. Not me. Me and numbers are not like, we have a volatile relationship. Nick said, shaking the fixative is so important. If you don't shake it every time, eventually there'll be too much of the texture particles in the can, and that's when the problems start. Exactly. Gypsy Heart said, and luckily I'm able to transpose music very easily. There's nothing wrong with doing what you got to do to make it work for you. We're artists after all. Make the drum that you be too. And you'll see too, it's funny. So my electric violin, the neck of it is too wide. It's wider than your standard neck. And so it's hard for me, because my hands are small, to really get like my fingers in the right position on that violin. I have no problem with my acoustic, but that violin, it is a challenge. And so I had to go through. The other thing is that when I play that, when I was playing in bands, see, this is way too white. We're not going to leave it that way. I'll go over it with colored pencil when it dries, which is next week. So he's going to look a little rough today. He'll look like he got in a fight today. But I would go, and I still have it. I've got tape, finger markings for where my fingers need to hit, because when I play with bands, I can't hear myself well enough. And with a violin, you don't have frets. You have to be able to hear it, so you can it may be the most minor shift in the world, but you have to be able to do it. And I couldn't hear well enough, and so I'd be out of tune and not have any idea. So I had to start putting, when I played live, I had to put the fingerings on that one. So I had a combination of muscle memory was harder on the violin because the neck was too thick, combined with I couldn't hear myself. And that was always a problem playing in live bands, or when playing live. Like when I recorded myself, it wasn't really a problem. But as soon as I start doing live, oh my gosh, that was definitely a challenge. So yeah, that's my other cheat, are my fingerings, the tape, where like I have it on, I don't remember what all fingers, I haven't played that violin in forever, but definitely had to have it where third position would be. So, because when I'd shift, there was just that muscle memory issue with the neck not being exactly the same, and that was hard. Hi, Lakshan. Angel said, and she has supported me in everything, getting a boyfriend, moving to California. Love my mom so much, lucky to have her. I'm real lucky in the same way. My parents have been so supportive with everything. Like being an artist, like she never questioned that was what I wanted to do. So I think that certainly makes things a little bit easier when you've got the support of your friends and family and everybody. And when you have the people telling you it's not possible, like with art, that's a typical thing. I had friends that would say it wasn't possible, but actually the dad of one of my friends used to say that. But yeah, that I was lucky myself in the same way. Scrolling. Gypsy Heart said, I understand that I'm overweight with the tiny short arms. Watching me play guitar is comical at best, but at least I can make it work to sound good. Hey, yes, do what you gotta do. Yeah, at one point I really wanted to get a 5-string violin and I never got around to it. I may still eventually. If I got to where I was practicing often enough and playing, because I can record and write my own music that can be used in my videos. Like I have a use for it. But if I started doing that again regularly, then I would probably save up and get myself a 5-string. I'm not sure. Like I like the place that I got my electric from, and the violin itself I really like. The problem that I have is that neck is just a bit, I don't know why the neck is wider on that one. And it's just, for me, with my hands being small, it's just not comfortable. How did I start with violin? When I was a kid, we were probably like kindergartners. There was a girl, I remember her name was Julie Zucker, and she played violin. And so if a little 5-year-old girl picks up the violin and she just goes to town. I mean, she was amazing. Her parents made her practice a lot every day. She had been playing since she was like 3 or 4, I think 3, I don't know, little, she was started. So she was absolutely amazing. And I always remember thinking that was so cool. Then when I was 9, so I think was that third grade, third grade, you had the option to choose an instrument where our school would teach you to play. So for free. I mean, you had to go buy a violin. So we, like my parents did the rent to own thing. So which thank God that was an option. But we went that route. And when they had the woman who came and did like the demonstration to try to like, look, you guys want to be cool? You want to play music too? She played the Star Wars theme on the violin, and I thought it was so cool. So that combined with, like, I remembered my friend from when we were in kindergarten. I changed school, so I lost contact with her. But I remembered her playing it, and I was like, I want to do that. And so that's how I got started. And I just stuck with it. So most of my friends, like almost everyone, picked up an instrument of some sort. My sister played flute at one point. Like everyone, another friend played clarinet for a couple of years. I was the only one I knew of that like stuck through it, that learned through the school. And it's funny, Julie Zucker, so she was amazing. And even like I saw her again, like weren't friends or anything at that point, but when we went into high school, she was, I think, first violin, and in our school orchestra. And I was like last chair, second violin, because I didn't practice. But she would, I believe after high school, didn't continue playing. Like she lost interest in it. And I believe I was told it was because she got burnt out from playing too much. She just didn't enjoy it because she practiced so much when she was younger. Her parents forced her to. And it's like, how funny that me, who didn't practice, who wasn't very good, and I'm the one who was still playing. So I'm going to use this to really define here a bit more. And see how harsh these are? We'll tone these down next week. I'll be putting color over them, but this needs to dry. And it, at least 10 minutes to dry. The longer, the better. Man, I really wanted to get him finished this week, but I also don't want to rush things. I want him to be really good, so we will just have to deal. The good thing about doing multiple weeks, the downside, because it's not a 1-week finished project, you don't get as many, like the viewership definitely goes down on these multiple week parts. But the other side is it's easy for me to schedule because it's already planned. And this will all get softened out a lot when I go over it. And I know I keep saying that. It's just that right now, like I mentioned when I started this part, he's going to be very scruffy looking at this stage. But when I go over it with color, these areas are going to stand out just a little bit more than they otherwise would. And I can soften it so it won't be this bad. So I've got a few of these areas that need to be a little bit longer. While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and put a few highlights here on his beak. This product is one of my absolute must-haves with colored pencil. Like I like all of the brush and pencil products. This is the one I can't live without. Like I would not want to do stuff. Like I can do these little details that I just couldn't do with colored pencil before unless I worked really large. So yeah, this stuff is amazing. Now this stuff dries really fast, so you don't want to mix very much. Like I have this much in there, it's already starting to dry. You have to mix a new batch. You can't add water to make it last longer or anything like that. You just have to let it, go rinse it all out and start a new batch dry, if you were to add water to it, it will no longer be archival. Now people ask, well, can I just use a gel pen or just use acrylic paint? No, those aren't archival because you're putting a water-based product on top of a wax or oil-based pencil. I mean, yeah, you can do it if you're just making prints, but if you're trying to sell the original artwork, you're selling something that is not archival. So that would be, you know, something that you need to keep in mind. We definitely don't want, oh, that's too much. We definitely don't want to be selling work that the parts of it are going to chip off in time. This is the only product like this that's made for colored pencil. So it is made to be archival and stick permanently. And the great thing is everywhere that I'm doing this, I'm actually adding tooth to the paper because that's what touch-up texture is. This adds tooth to the paper. I've mixed that with the white, but everywhere that I've done this, it's going to have a little bit more tooth than the paper already had. So my pencil's going to stick to it really well. Scrolling up. I'll come back to, I'm too far behind and this is starting to dry. So I'm going to just get this in and then we'll get caught up on questions and finish today up. Go around that edge to really make that stand out. I'm just lightly going over that. This one and Zombie Snail we started Wednesday. I'm gonna have a hard time not working on this during the week because it's gonna take so little to just. It's essentially glazing. You just take the color, go over everything, and it will look so good. I'm not gonna want to wait, but I'm gonna have to. Whoops, too bright. And if you do like what I did there, it was a bit too much. It's no big deal. You'll cover it with your pencils. Get a bit of feathers kind of over the beak here, so we can overlap that. Actually, we'll see. Let me go ahead and rinse this out. I'll come back and get caught up on questions. If this dries enough, we can go ahead and put a little bit of color so I can at least show you where we're going with that. So let me rinse this brush. Don't want to ruin that. Oh, I sat for too long. My legs don't want to go straight. Man, I'm old. And I just use water to clean that brush out. And the brush that I'm using is a synthetic hog-haired liner brush. Okay, let's get caught up on some of these questions while this sets. Dale said, okay, I got that one. Cynthia said, sad thing now is playing the violin with a mask. It's hard to hear notes. I'm an adult relearning to play violin, but I enjoy it. Oh, that would be there were a lot of things that I had a hard time with earplugs. So when we would do head or in-ear plugs while playing live, that was one of the things that we did before. That was always hard to get right because if the audio engineer or whatever did not have me set up right, I was hearing more from my chin than I was from the ear thing. And so that would make me adjust where I shouldn't adjust to try to get the tone right. So I sounded like I was tone deaf and couldn't tell that I was out of tune. But because I was hearing through my chin, which wasn't quite right, instead of through the ears, that was always, yeah, well, with a mask, that would be a challenge for sure. Let's see. Dee said, is the neck from a model that sometimes has a five string and can be used as a viola as well? My brother has been looking at some, but it's a huge neck size and it doesn't matter for him. No, this one is intended for a 4-string. The 5-string would be a different neck. It's just that like the neck, it's not the width. It's like if this was the violin, it's not this part where the strings are, it's this part. Like it comes down here a little bit too low. So it's a weird fit. Any tips on drawing fur with only colored pencils? I would like to draw a tiger. Yeah, look at your shapes and shadows in the clumps and clusters. Don't just draw a bunch of random, and right now he almost looks like a bunch of random lines. Look at your reference photo, get a good reference photo, and pay attention to the shapes and shadows, not individual fur. That's my biggest tip I can give you. And values, dark's dark enough, light's light enough. That is a big deal. It's not just find the perfect orange and make it, then you have a cartoon. It's the values, the transition between your lights and your darks. And typically when drawing tigers, like a tiger. For a tiger, I'm going to use various shades of oranges, browns, and magentas. Magenta is a big one that will help you out there. Jason said, I thought that you were not able to post music because you can't confirm original music. I stopped doing it because I can do it, but yeah, that was becoming an issue. Now I can fight it, but now I know how to, well, at least what worked for me last time. But even now, I use Epidemic Sound, and I got hit with a copyright strike from a royalty-free song. It was a Christmas song, and that video is still in escrow because somebody's saying they own the rights to it, which is infuriating because I paid for it through Epidemic Sound. This shouldn't ever be an issue. So there's a lot of shady people making claims, false claims. It's frustrating. Gypsy Heart said, I hadn't picked up a violin in a long while. Suddenly my 10-year-old son is wanting to learn. He remembers me playing when he was a baby. So not so good of a teacher though. Much wine. Let's see. What is the most difficult thing you have drawn? People, maybe, I guess, because you're trying to get the expression, so that can be a bit of a challenge. If you're a little bit off, you change the expression of the person, but I would probably say portraits. I don't know. Let's see. Sarah Makes Art said, maybe the fact that the girl's parents forced violin on her is what made her lose interest. I'd be interested to know if she wanted to play violin on her own. Probably as a kid, I think most of us do. I mean, we do it like my sister would do. She wanted to ice skate, and she wanted to play the flute, and then she played soccer, and she was bouncing around all over the place. My mom just let her do whatever she wanted with that. Whereas a lot of parents are like, you chose violin, you wanted to do it, now you're gonna do it. And I think it's helpful. I think the kids need that structure. I think that is important, but she may have just gone too far with it, or maybe she's just bored. Maybe it just wasn't her thing anymore. I don't know. I'm letting that dry while I get through questions, and then I do want to put a little bit over it. Horsewoman said, why not use colored pencil, scratch on sandpaper, and use OMS to paint on? Huh? Why not use colored pencil, scratch on sandpaper? Oh, I see what you're saying. I've never done that. That would probably work, kind of like how we do with Inktense. I've done it that way. I've not tried that with colored pencil. I should try that. That's kind of an interesting thought. Huh. You have a beginning Airbrush video. I do. I just do a Google search or a YouTube search, Lachri and Airbrush, and it should come up. Angel said, but I love your red tops. Please bring back the rogue hairstyle. Yeah, I'm not going that route again. It was so much work, dyeing my hair, because I'd have to dye when I dyed my blonde. My hair's blonde, so when I dye the roots or my hair black, when the roots start to grow, which is every 2 weeks, every 2 weeks I'm having to dye my hair black, because the blonde hair would make it look like that strip of blonde peeking through, like I was balding up against the black. So yeah, I'm definitely not doing that again. And then the bleach was like, I'm just letting it grow out to my natural color at this point. I'm considering doing blonde highlights, like having a professional do it this time instead of the full-blown chunks, but we'll see. It's weird having more normal. I mean, I still have some of the bleach that's growing out, but it's weird having almost more normal hair. Scrolling down. Do I ever play any trad tunes? I don't know what that is. Traditional tunes, like classical? I mean, classical is what I grew up playing. And then we played in the band. It was like a folk band. So that's mostly, I guess those are my normal things to play. Sarah Makes Art said, on the other hand, there are kids who have an interest in art or music until their parents don't encourage it or actively discourage it. That might be even sadder. Yeah, definitely. I've told the student, is this dry enough? Yeah, I'm pushing my luck. We'll just not push very hard and see what happens. But I had a kid, he was autistic, and he was the happiest little boy. And the reason that I bring up that he was autistic was he was not at the same, like how he learned was not the same as another kid his age. But he loved art, and he was having a blast. He's painting like fish, and he'd look at the reference photo, and the fish might be yellow, but he's painting his purple. Like his were all over the board on the colors. The kid is having a blast. He is enjoying the process. His mom, who decided to take the class with him, and I wish she just dropped him off and left because that would have been way better for everyone involved, would sit there, and she argued with me on everything anyway. I mean, she was kind of a nasty woman, but she would sit there and criticize this boy non-stop. That's the wrong color. You're not doing this right. You need to do this. And I'm like, who's teaching this class? For me, if a child, and this kid, I want to say he was 12, but because of his learning disability, it was, you know, I would consider more like an 8-year-old would be the equivalent of what I think he was painting, maybe a 7 or 8-year-old, as far as like skill level art-wise. If he's having a blast, I mean, this kid was having fun. And his mom sat there criticizing every single thing he did. Now, first off, I don't teach that way. That is not like I will guide you through it. But with kids, it's different. You need to let them enjoy and just experiment with the paint and have fun. You can't force it with them. It just doesn't work until they hit about 12. And I'm 12 for somebody who isn't already having learning. You know, this kid was behind had learning stuff. So until like the average child hits 12. So he's got a few more years before he hits the stage in his case where he would maybe reach that level. You let them just kind of play with the paint. You guide them. You show them how to layer. I don't feel that forcing every brushstroke. It's not the same. Like music is different. Music, we get more technical. But with art at that age, it doesn't really click until they're a bit further along developmentally. So once a kid hits about 12, 13, they can do everything an adult can when it comes to art. So very quickly, it's weird. It's like something switches in their brain and things just make sense to them. But at that point, before that, I find it's best to let them just experiment and play with and get a feel for the paint and learn control with the brush. And if that means painting a purple fish yellow instead of purple or whatever it was, or green or whatever, then who cares? This woman, I almost called her another name. This female dog was, she picked apart everything this poor kid did. And it was so sad to watch her discourage something that he was otherwise enjoying. That one was hard. She was she was horrible to me. She was horrible to everybody. This woman was miserable. But it was funny enough, another story. Somebody came on and I don't remember if she left a comment or if she messaged me privately. I think she sent me a long email. Yeah, it was an email telling me, how dare you, because I talked about that in another video. How dare you criticize this woman? You have no idea what she's going through. And she was also saying, because I couldn't know what it was like to live with an autistic child, except my nephew is, so I do. So but anyway, I was like, I'm actually on the kid's side. The mom was just in general a miserable woman. You don't take that out on the kid. So anyway, it was kind of funny because that woman went off on that, on an email, got really nasty about that. People are odd. Like, I'm like, that you're the bad guy. You are, if you're siding with the mom, you're the bad guy in this story too. Like, I'm always going to side with the kid there. So whatever. Anyway, random rant. Let's see. Angel said, if I will be reborn, I want to be the daughter of my mom. She is the best. I never really argued with her, me enrolling to violin, ballet, and that stuff. Jason said, what is the difference between a 5-string versus a 4-string violin, and how does the sound difference in production? So you go 1 string lower. So right now, wow, the sun is suddenly like weird. But right now, like your normal 4-string violin, your lowest string is the G. You get, what would that be? What is the next? I think it's an A. No. I forget what the string is. C? What is the string? I forget. It's a thicker string, so it's a lower. You go down another string, so you get a deeper sound. So you're closer to a viola in that sense. You're moving closer that way versus going up to a higher string. So that's where your difference is there. Still on the Flamingo A, no offense, but I do wish you did more coloring on the live stream so I could learn and ask relevant questions for each step of the process. That is what you pay for. That is what Patreon is for. These are chats. This is a time I hang out with everybody. We get to talk, catch up on like random frog stories and whatever. If you are looking for straight tutorials, you want to go to patreon.com/Lachri. For as little as $4 a month, you get my straight tutorials. We are only working on the art. There is no rambling. That is going to be a better fit for you than the live streams. These live streams, this is what we do. If you don't like these, then that is what Patreon is for. Let's see. If his lights are light enough and his darks are dark enough, the fish can be any color. Absolutely. And in his case, he's a kid. His were solid cartoony looking. Like he wasn't at a stage developmentally that he was going to do something realistic. And that's something, I mean, I've been teaching for, God, since when did I start teaching? 1999. I've been teaching for a very long time. I can recognize pretty quickly where somebody is at as far as what they're going to be able to do with their art. And he just wasn't at that stage yet. So you just let him kind of play with him and guide him through that, but you don't get that picky. Let's see. Sarah Makes Art said, sounds like that kid might have had an intellectual disability on top of autistic. Yeah, and it's definitely possible. I don't know the details. I know the mom just told me he was autistic. She didn't give me more information besides that. Anyway, I feel bad for him having to live with such a woman. Me too. I hope I mean, that was so long ago, so he's an adult by now. I hope he was able to, I don't know if he would have reached a point where he could live on his own, but hopefully somebody else was taking care of him at some point, because she was not. It was rough. It was rough to watch the mom, because I mean, as the teacher of the class, I can't really do anything. She wasn't technically being, like, there was no abuse that I could report. Like, it was just, I mean, I don't know what the situation is otherwise, but she was horrible in this class, like absolutely. And then she, even with me, the painting she would do, I would tell her how to do something, and then she would argue that that's not the way to do it. And I'm like, why are you here? First off, it is the way to do it. This woman, it wasn't like she was experienced, and so she was just taking the class with her kid. She was not good, and she was never going to be good. There are very few times I can say somebody will never be good. And you can recognize if someone's going to be good or not with their art, not by their actual skill, but by their attitude as they work. So when somebody has a certain attitude, I can tell, again, I've been doing this for a long time, you can tell this is not somebody who's going to progress because they have the wrong attitude, not because of their skill level. They're going to hold themselves back. And she was one of those. And so it wasn't even like she knew more than me, and so that's why she was arguing with me. No, she was just that. She was the kind of, she might have been my grandmother, maybe her long lost sister, but the type of person who was just going to argue about everything and nitpick everything, and just, I'm like, she was frustrating. Raku said, being autistic, I know how that feels. I was always criticized for what I liked in art. Yeah, and with art is subjective anyway. I mean, to me, let's say somebody has a different style, and it has to do with them, whether they be autistic or a learning thing or whatever it is that makes their style different. That's unique, and that's something to celebrate and really, like, I guess, cash in on. Like, that is your thing. Let that be your thing. You don't have, why be like everybody else? Or us, I don't know that me and my frogs are like everybody else, but there's enough people who are like everybody else. Like, grasp onto that thing that makes you and your art unique. That's amazing. That it's art. You want that in art. That's a big deal. So yeah, it's frustrating. Let's see. Oh, it's the D string is low. Wait, G, no, D is one up. So this is going to be one down from D. So G, D, A, E, G being the lowest, A being the high, or E being the highest. So it's one string lower than G. Is it C? Gosh, what is it? I don't remember what I don't remember right now because I haven't played in a year. Let's see. Yeah, my lights, Sarah, it's the lighting in here. The sun suddenly came out and I am blind. I cannot see. I'm having a hard time seeing this right now. Yeah, it was completely overcast all day, and it is not now. Let's see. Rose said, you should put on a t-shirt, lights lighting up dark side. I know, I've had a lot of people ask me for that. The only thing that I'm afraid of is that somebody's going to take that the wrong way, because everyone takes everything the wrong way these days, and I'm afraid that that's going to be misinterpreted and cause issues. But it's something that we say all the time with art. So maybe I need to figure out a way to make sure it's clear that we're talking about art and not something that somebody's going to find offense in for some reason. So I don't know. Jason said, I saw a zoo show and they showed a baby flamingo. They get the pink tint from the food they receive. They do. They're all gray and white, and yeah, they're very different as babies. They start out gray or white, and then they go more to a gray as they get their feathers, and then, yeah. Bye, Nick. Thank you for being here. I know I'm running late on this. Susan said, I really like the contrast of the dark rose color and the white. Thank you. Sarah said, it was about 8 or 9. My former stepdad took me to the zoo to draw animals. I like drawing, but there were days when my stepdad decided to criticize everything I did. And that's frustrated when anyone does that to anybody. Like, I don't, and especially with art and with kids. And I just see that with kids in general. And I really should wait on this, but whatever. Where the parents are just criticizing the art too much. Like, I'd have students where they expected their kids to suddenly, like, they were preteens, so they're not going to be super amazing with art, but they wanted their work to look like it was something done by somebody who has been a professional artist for 20 years. Like, it was really weird, some of the requests or some of the expectations that the parents would have on kids in general, where it's like, that's not really how it works with art. That's not going to help anything. I may have to stop on this anyway right now. Well, we need to stop anyway. The live stream is over, but just because the sun, I didn't set up for this lighting and I cannot see what I'm doing. Okay, seriously, we're going to finish him next week. Like, I'm serious this time. It's going to happen. I just want to soften a few things out. And see how I can go over the lights and the darks, but it makes the areas with the white, they're just a bit like more defined now. So we just keep layering and can soften all of this out some. Yeah, and it's very fast now at this point too, because I'm just tinting the color. It's essentially a glaze. Okay, I have to stop because that's starting to chip up some of that. It's not dry all the way, so I don't want to mess it up. I'm just gonna have to leave him where he is now, which is seriously, we're finishing him next week. This part goes faster. It's this part that takes so long. Let's see. Yeah, Gus said sensitivity is at an all-time high. Isn't that the truth? Rose said, maybe preface with when you are painting. Huh? Oh, when you're painting. Yeah, that might work. We need to get creative. Dee said, generally this string would be a C. Yes, but you can do it differently for various reasons. Yeah, I'm pretty sure on the violin, the one that I was looking at was C. Let's see. Dee said, some Baroque composers specify a different set of tunings as well when changing the internal resonance. Amazing sound. Yeah, I see guitarists do that too. Well, they'll use, they'll cheat. Guitarists, I'm telling you, you're cheaters. You and your clampy thing. What is a clampy thing? My brain just shut down again. Fret. The clip. You can change your whole freaking key thing by one thing, and it used to drive me crazy when the guitarist that we would play when we're writing new music, and he would put that on, and every time I'd see him do it, it was like, can we just play it? And like, why do you have to turn it into a crazy key? Because you know it's going to be, it's a way, I don't have that on violin. Like I have to actually transpose that into something else. So, it's so funny. I can't remember what the clippy thing is that goes on the thing. But anyway, we are good. And I thank you guys so much for joining. I think that's it. I think we're done. This is not done. We're going to soften out these feathers. We've got some layering to do next week. He's getting there. This is what happens when I do stuff for myself. I get extra picky. Anyway, thank you guys for joining. On Wednesday night, we're going to be painting Zombie Snail and his gnome passenger, our Christmas one, and it will actually finally start to look good on that one. God, I hate leaving these live streams. That's why I don't like not finishing them. I like when we finish them and they're already at the good stage, but we're leaving it kind of a not so good stage. So I'm sorry. I hate leaving it there. But anyway, I will see you guys on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Time. Thanks again for joining. Bye.